Thank you, Kate Burness. Hi, everybody, and hope you're having a great holiday weekend from this magnificent house on the prairie and one of the great traditions continuing in the Canadian Football League. Riders, Bombers on Labor Day. A lot of people know this rivalry very well, including this man, Paul LaPolice, who's coached multiple times on both sides in this game. Zach Collaros, Lapo, knows this game very well as well. He has not had his greatest year, but they are finding ways to win lately, including that last-minute drive that he engineered against Hamilton.
Yeah, he has not had his best year. 12 interceptions this season, the most in the Canadian Football League. And he's facing a team that takes the ball away more than anybody. 33 takeaways for the Riders. They have 15 interceptions. So he has to protect the football today. And this guy, second all-time in completion percentage in the CFL. Well, he's facing the top defense against completion percentage. This Bombers defense has been spectacular, holding teams under 60%. First Labor Day Classic for him, too. First Labor Day Classic between the Riders and Bombers for Corey Mays, who certainly knows Labor Day well from his days with the Stampeders and later with the Argos and the Ticats the last couple of years. For Mike O'Shea, it's his 10th Labor Day Classic in this one between the Riders and Bombers. His record is 3-6 coming in. There's Lucky Whitehead. Winnipeg will get the ball first. Saskatchewan won the toss and deferred, and Whitehead is back with Johnny Augustine. A year ago, it was the only one in overtime between the two. Saskatchewan won it by 2. Brett Lother with the kickoff. And back is Whitehead at the 5. The Labor Day Classic at Mosaic is underway. And Whitehead gets it up to about the 25 as Zach Collaros comes on now. As mentioned, not the greatest numbers this season. Last week in that victory over Hamilton, he was 18 of 36 for 177. One touchdown at the end, though, and that was the winner. Yeah, what I think that they need to do this game offensively, you want to quiet this crowd, Rod. What do you want to do? You want to control the clock. You want to have long drives, get the ball in the end zone. On defense, you want to keep this team from scoring points and quiet this crowd. You can already hear them, Rod. They're already screaming. You got to quiet this crowd down early in the first quarter. They pick it up right now. Sellout crowd at Mosaic, handing off Brady Oliveira, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League, and he is not doing much there. He picks up about a yard, and a 2nd and long coming up for this Bomber offense. Kendall Randolph will have big shoes to fill with Stanley Brown out this week. He's a first-year player from Alabama. Facing this crowd noise will be difficult for these tackles, so we'll keep an eye on him all game. And very impressive last season. Nick Dembski, he had 5 catches for over 100 yards. He's going to be the yak yard leader on this football team, playing this defense that does not give up a lot of explosive plays. The noise picking up again here at Mosaic in a 2nd and 9. Zach Collaros back to pass. Under pressure, and Brian Cox has it. Collaros is sacked. A 2-and-out Winnipeg forced to punt as that Saskatchewan defense, backed by the fans, stands up strong at the start. Watching here with a speed rush off the outside. You're showing pressure, but then they drop out. Moves inside, makes the inside move on Lofton to be able to get the sack on the inside. Zach didn't really have much of a chance to look anywhere downfield because the pass rush happened so quickly there, Ron. 5th sack of the season for Brian Cox in his 2nd year out of Florida. So Jamison Sheehan back at his 10. Mario Alford running in on this punt, and he takes it in the air at the 50. Little hop, skip, and out of bounds at midfield, and a good place to start for Trevor Harris. His 3rd game back after missing 6 games with a knee injury. Had a very good start, Lapo, against Toronto last week, but then cooled off in that loss to the Argos. For Trevor Harris today, the big thing is running the football. Week 7, I know he wasn't in the game, but week 7 in their win against the Bombers, 19-9, they're able to run the football and get their play-action pass going on 1st and 10. That's what's got to happen for them to have success today. Opening possession for Saskatchewan starts in the Bombers zone at the Winnipeg 52. Out of shotgun, Harris throwing right away. It is knocked away. It is tipped at the line of scrimmage. As you will often see from that guy, Willie Jefferson. We asked Trevor Harris about how difficult it is dealing with the height, the length of Willie Jefferson, who knocks another one away. What the defense of this Bomber said, we have to stop the quick throws of Trevor. We know he's accurate. We know he throws it quickly. We've got to get our hands up
and make plays on the ball, and you see it right there. The best ever probably to do it in the Canadian Football League, Willie Jefferson, his big meaty paws up there.
A legend not only for the sacks, but for all those knockdowns. Number 5, Winnipeg. 2nd and 10. Harris to throw again. Takes a deep look. Down the rail. It's nearly intercepted by Terrell Bonds in coverage, and Dante Myers just one-on-one, and Bonds nearly came down with it, so a 2-and-out for the Riders.
This defense forces the corners to do a lot of things on their own. You're going to see this matchup right there. And Trevor knows I'm going to take this matchup to Bonds. This is exactly what they want to do. It's a double move play because these Bombers make breaks on the football so quickly, and they read into the backfield. So a great call, just a little bit. They wanted a little bit more on it so they could make that play.
So Saskatchewan punts. It's Adam Korsak sending it to Lucky Whitehead down at the 11. A punt of 42 yards. Whitehead, the 4th different returner that the Bombers have used this season. And just a couple of yards. Zach Collaros after a 2-and-out. Coming back. Wins and Labor Day Classics by a quarterback at 6-1. Actually lost Lapo for the first time last year in overtime here at Mosaic.
His ability to make sure he sees pictures. He talked about it this week that I got to make sure I don't force any bad throws, bad decisions. What I talk to quarterbacks always about, don't get bored. Don't try to take shots against a defense that's going to play a lot of zone coverage. He says, I got to make sure I see the pictures and throw the checkdowns when the checkdowns are there.
From the Winnipeg 21, 2nd possession, play action fake, and a deeper throw, and that one heads out of bounds. It's Deontay Williams' way looking for Drew Wolotarski back in the lineup. How about that Rough Rider defense?
Micah Johnson, CFL sack leader with 6 sacks. The 11-year veterans have a rebirth working with his old teammate, his old position coach, and his old head coach, Corey Mace. CJ Rivas had outstanding 10 tackles last week, 2 goal line stops to prevent touchdowns. He's been outstanding. And speaking outstanding, Roland Milligan, Zach Collaros better know where he is on every play. Leads the CFL in interceptions, pass, knockdowns.
At the 21. Winnipeg deep in their zone. 2nd and 10. Collaros to the left. He completes that one to Kenny Lawler. And that's a first down across the 30 for the Blue Bombers. Those two connected in a big way late in the game last week in Winnipeg against Hamilton for the winning touchdown.
And this is what you're talking about. Look downfield. You can't find something. Find the crossing routes. Adam Auclair has got to chase him. And, man, this is a zone structure where Adam Auclair can't allow a guy to go inside. But good decision by Zach. Get it in the hands of his talented receiver, Kenny Lawler. He's going to try to get as many matchups with Kenny Lawler as he can.
The Bombers advance the ball up to the 32 now. Kenny Lawler missed a chunk of the season with injury. Once again, faking to Oliveira to the left. That is caught. That's the rookie, Kevin Sklercius, the big receiver out of Connecticut. And he has another first down for Winnipeg as it get up closer to midfield.
Yeah, I like this. This is having a tight end at the end of the line of scrimmage. You fake a run opposite the tight end releases, everybody lifts, you throw it outside, and this is a great, 9-yard game to put them in what you call Strebler vision right now. Here comes Strebby coming into the game. You got a 2nd and 1 opportunity to make sure you can get that first down. Or is there a shot coming, Rod, on 2nd and 1?
Would they do that on 2nd down, Lapo?
I would.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. What would?
Because you don't get man coverage. You can get an opportunity for man or cover 0.
So I said Claricius had the first down, but yeah, he had 9. So Chris Strebler comes in to finish that up and get the first down. Mentioned the best quarterbacks in terms of Labor Day success, and Collaros in there in a pack at 6-1. Bo Levi Mitchell, who plays tomorrow against the Argonauts and looking to lead the way at 7, as is Zach Collaros. You see Darian Durant, one of the great quarterbacks in the history of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, working Rider Radio, and you coached him, and fond memories working with Darian Durant.
Yeah, we were 3-0 as working together as a Rider coach and a Rider quarterback on Labor Day. We had wins every year.
1st and 10, Winnipeg 43, a flag is out. That one coming in on the coverage. It was intended for Kenny Lawler. Marcus Sales knocking that one away, but a flag with the snap of the ball. Going against Saskatchewan as signaled by the referee, Tom Valesi.
Offside. Winnipeg number 10. that penalty is declined.
So you're getting into the biggest thing that happens in this game is crowd noise. You have to have an understanding. You're going to have to do a silent cadence all game, so the crowd noise is going to be a factor. You don't want to get too many of these penalties because it's only going to energize the crowd even more. There's so many things when you have a home team that has 30,000 people and that can help your cause. It's going to make everything harder, from how much motion you do, how many speed sweeps you do. So this crowd noise will be an issue all night.
Excuse me, penalty against Winnipeg and Nick Dembski. 2nd and 10. Deep shot. Intended for Ontario Wilson. He has it. Big first down, Bombers down to the Rider 20. And that might just calm down the largest Mosaic Stadium crowd in the history since they moved in 2017.
You've got a throw right to the middle. You'll notice that there's nobody in the middle of the field. And what happens is when you void the middle of the field, you throw the ball right to the middle of the field. Zach recognizes nobody in the middle. They take the shot. This is a great throw and catch, and it's very interesting. Saskatchewan's game plan is not to pressure a lot. That's a first early pressure by the Sask defense, and they get stung by it.
Ontario Wilson in his first year with the Bombers. Biggest play of this game so far. Faking the handoff, throwing again, and the first catch in a while for Drew Wolotarski, who was injured back in week 8 in Toronto, a rib injury. So back after missing 4 games, Wolotarski with the catch and a 1st and goal coming up now for Winnipeg.
Yeah, just a staple of what this Bomber offense do. They run the ball so well, and Zach is such, he can maneuver outside the pocket well and throw from every arm angle, so he just kind of pulls it on a zone read. If the end crashes down, now he's got a couple of routes. He loves throwing to Drew Wolotarski. Nice easy throw for a first down and put him in red zone.
Down to the 9. Winnipeg threatening, scoreless tie. Labor Day at Mosaic. The rivalry continues, and the Bombers in position to strike first. Dumping it off now to Ontario Wilson. 5, down to the 3. Got that far, and a 2nd and goal is coming up. As once again, they use play action and dump it off to Wilson to get a little bit closer.
Quick throw out of the backfield. What you're doing is you're bringing a guy out in the flat, and you're going to block everybody. This is called a BTL. You block downfield and you throw it behind the line of scrimmage. It's very hard to hold those blocks. You'll see CJ Rivas doing a great job getting off, and Nelson Macombo making the tackle. You got to hold up. You're going to run these screens. You got to hold up on the perimeter. Really good play. Got Chris Strevler back in the game, Rod.
9th play of the drive, 2nd and goal. Strevler keeps. 3, 2, 1. Touchdown. Winnipeg strikes first. Chris Strevler, another rushing touchdown for him. That's his 8th in the season.
Just put as many bodies as you can inside. Let Strevler run it. He gets low shoulders, keeps his legs driving. It's going to be very hard to stop when a quarterback is 2 yards from the line of scrimmage. And you can see that happening all year. Rod, the top scorers in the Canadian Football League are all backup quarterbacks.
We were marveling at how Brady Oliveira still doesn't have a touchdown this season. That was a point you were making, that once you get close enough, every team is a short yardage QB, and Winnipeg certainly has one in Chris Strevler. Sergio Castillo now out for the point after try. Put down by Jamison Sheehan. One more on the board. Touchdown number 8 for number 17, Strevler. And Winnipeg on a big...
Talked about how important it is to start fast on this drive. You want to quiet this crowd. Kenny Lawler a couple underneath throws. Marcius on some play actions. And they responded after a penalty with this huge shot downfield. Gives them opportunities, quick throws, get the ball in the perimeter, and get Strevler to get in. This is exactly what you got to do. Now defense go get a stop, and all of a sudden you're out of the first, you're ending the first quarter, and the crowd has not been involved. And they did overcome that penalty from the crowd noise run.
They did, and it's a 9-play, 89-yard drive lap in just over 5 minutes. So 7-0, Winnipeg leading in this Labor Day Classic. And the kickoff now to Mario Alford, who gets it up to the 29. So the last time the Riders had the ball in their opening possession, they went 2 and out. Trevor Harris back on again on this Labor Day.
I'm Trevor Harris, quarterback for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
More heat coming. Good protection. End zone look and a touchdown.
Empty backfield for Harris. Looks towards the end zone.
And you're watching the Labor Day Classic on TSN.
Trevor Harris, no stranger to the Labor Day Classic, but when he was with the Argos and with Edmonton, this is his first Labor Day Classic with Saskatchewan. And handing off to Frankie Hickson, who has been their running back since the injury to A.J. Ouellette, just a couple of yards, as Tony Jones among those with Winnipeg to stop him. Have a look at that Saskatchewan offense.
Left tackle Trevor Reed is going to need to be at his best stopping this pass rush of the Bombers, as the tackles are asked to do a lot against this talented defensive front. And Deontay Myers quickly becoming a top target for this team. He's got 19 catches and only 3 starts, and he averages 8 targets per game, Rod.
Yeah, Deontay Myers last week had just 61 yards in receiving after 101 in his first 2 games. It's had quite the torrid start as a receiver for the Roughriders. It's 2nd and 8 at the Saskatchewan 32 for Harris. He checks it down to Hickson, takes off across the 40. And Frankie Hickson does pick up a first down for Saskatchewan. Their first down in this game.
Trevor's making very good decisions by what happens as the coverage lifts. They're rushing 3, dropping 9 into coverage. He can't find anybody. He flips his hips. He knows he has Hickson, who's very talented with the ball in his hands. Get the ball to him. Easy first down.
In his 3rd year out of Liberty, and as said, replacing A.J. Ouellette, who is still injured and out. This is Hickson's 5th game start. Faking to him. Throwing on the first down to Keyshawn Johnson. He's been a big part of that Rider offense as Johnson gets it up to midfield, and the sticks move again for Saskatchewan.
You're going to see them walking out, and they're just going to run a curl, one in the flat, as they're just trying to do a zone read and release. And then you see Keyshawn just sit down in the zone as the underneath coverage expands, as Reddick Cranby expands, gets you a nice easy throw. I like using his legs. I like getting Trevor on the move. It's a nice easy first downs on first down.
So up to midfield are the Riders, down 7 early on. Throwing again and nearly picked off with Dietrich Nichols jumping in front of the intended receiver for the Roughriders there. Nichols, big part of that Winnipeg secondary.
Willie Jefferson's got a different role this season, but he can still make amazing plays. Look for him to knock down those quick passes like he's already started to. Adam Bighill returns after a hamstring issue. They get their smartest defensive player back in the lineup, and Tyrell Ford is having a spectacular year leading this team. 4 interceptions. He's got the vision and recognition that's key to the success of a field corner.
Changes in both quarters this season for the Blue Bombers. Terrell Bonds on the other side, and yeah, Ford having a year. And on that 2nd down, it's caught. First down. He and Schaefer Baker has the catch, and he's thrown down late after the whistle blows, but on the move with the Saskatchewan Roughriders down inside the Winnipeg 40.
Good vision by Trevor here. There was a high halfback, and what does that mean? There's going to be a soft spot for a curl route. He sees the curl, gets the curl, throws it in front, and gives him a good opportunity. So you see Holm playing high. He just wraps around. Bighill expands, gives him that throw underneath to put them in field goal range, Rod.
He had a couple of catches, Lapo, last week for just 11 yards in Toronto. Coming back after missing 4 games with a shoulder injury. Here's Sean Bain, his first catch of this game. Takes that one and works it down to around the 35.
And this is what you hear everyone when they face Trevor Harris talk about. They say the ball comes out of his hands quick. He's going to throw a lot of completions, and he stays on the field. He's going to create drives, and he's going to move the ball down the length of the field. So that's why they're talking about, all right, we got to make sure we disrupt him somehow, whether it's put our hands up, knock him down, because this defense doesn't want, this defense is best when it's 2nd and long for them, just like Captain Obvious, every defense 2nd and long that they want, but 2nd and 6 lets them do a lot of different things.
Right from the Winnipeg 35 now for Trevor Harris. He has time. Little pump fake. And he looks like he's going to take off. He does. You don't see him run a lot, but he slides and gets down near the 25. The drive continues. Another first down for Saskatchewan.
They walked out. They walked the tailback out. So this, as you see, there's no back in the backfield. This is called empty. So what happens is everybody expands, and as he's trying to find something, the pass rush There's nobody going to be really accounted for Trevor Harris. He knows that, recognizes it, so he can take it to get the first down, because the Bomber defense is turning and running with all the underneath coverages. That leaves him wide open to get that first down.
Good response here from the Riders after Winnipeg took the lead. Their first possession's a 2-and-out, but they're on the move now. They're at the Winnipeg 25, faking the handoff, faking the pass, and finally just throwing it away is Harris. In his first appearance against Winnipeg this season, Shea Patterson started the last game 6 weeks ago that the Riders won 19-9.
I like what Trevor talked about this week. He's like, I got to make sure that I do my best to make sure I keep us in manageable positions. He talks so highly about this defense for the Bombers, whether it be Willie Jefferson, the job Jordan Younger's done in the back end. And he's like, we have to find success on first down, or else we don't want to live in this world of 2nd and 10 against this top-rated defense.
After missing 6 weeks, he had a very impressive return against Montreal in a loss. Then cooled off last week in Toronto. Little shuffle pass up the middle to Samuel Emelis. And he breaks some tackles in Emelis. Another first down Riders as they get a little bit closer inside the 15.
I love this call. What's happening? Watch this. The tailback's going to leave. What does that do? That empties people out of the backfield. But then Emelis is in the backfield also. So as everybody expands, you see everybody walking out. They know it's only a 3-man rush, so they just flip a shovel pass to Emelis, and then he gets the yardage. Why? Because this Bomber defense likes to be expanded out over all the receivers. That gives them that room in the middle of the field, Rob.
Down 7, knocking on the door. Saskatchewan, 10th play of the drive. Harris. End zone look. Coverage is there. It was Schaefer Baker with Retta Cramdy, the coverage linebacker, back with Schaefer Baker. It falls incomplete, and a 2nd and 10 is coming up.
You know, you're trying to take a shot for a big guy in the middle of the field. You got Home on the outside, or on the inside position, but then inside it should say is Retta Cramdy, so he's in a position where it's just a very difficult throw. What he's going to do is try to give him an opportunity to go out and jump for the ball. If it's a little bit higher, he's got a chance for that ball. I know the fans are asking for it, Rod, but I don't know if I would be putting a challenge flag out at this early in the juncture with that picture.
It stays in the pocket of Corey Mace, and a 2nd and 10 at the Winnipeg 12. Another end zone look! Touchdown! Saskatchewan Roughriders and Sean Bain. His 3rd touchdown. She is 5th. He had 3 in opening day against Edmonton, but adds another one here.
He gets over the top of Nick Hallett as Nick Hallett's underneath. He's waiting for an inside breaking route. And Bain just goes over the top. Trevor does a spectacular job of recognizing that there's nobody over the top of Hallett. I can just throw it to a spot in the back of the end zone that's protected to make the play. And I know Sean Bain, they're really looking forward to trying to get him more involved, Rod. The last couple of weeks, he has not been as part.
It did cool off, and as mentioned, that opening game in Edmonton, Bain.
3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, and late in the game, too, in the big comeback win by Saskatchewan. They haven't won since they beat Winnipeg back in July the 19th. They come back and tie this one. Harris to Bain. 7-7 tie.
QB in Labor Day. He's experienced Labor Day amongst his CFL career, but he told me, I'm probably most excited to see what this crowd can bring to the table. And he and Corey Mace picked a good one to have their first Labor Day here at Mosaic. As you mentioned, Rod, the largest crowd they've had at this new stadium so far. Corey Mace actually played his first CFL game on Labor Day. That was, of course, back when he was with the Stamps. But he's 9-1 on this weekend between his playing and coaching career. So, hey, good stat to have coming into this one. He told me, Britt, I'm gassed up. This is what you play for. This crowd alone. And he told me it makes it easy to want to come to work on days like this, guys.
And Brett, interesting when you were asking him about it, he said, I hear this is the biggest one. He knows the Argos Ticats. He, of course, knows the Stampeders in Edmonton, but I wonder how he's thinking so far.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
It is. Crowd involvement here at Mosaic. And Riders just getting on the board. That touchdown to Bain. Here's Lucky Whitehead on the return up close to the 30 for Winnipeg. So after both teams went 2-0 to start this game, touchdown drive. Zach Collaros won the last time Winnipeg's offense was on the field. And now it's a 7-7 game.
And yes, for Zach, that's a great drive. Now they just got to see how can they respond, because now you're going to have a loud, fired up crowd going. I like what they're doing with the underneath run game, and just make sure, like last week it was Brady Ball, 120 yards. How do they continue to get him going? But this is the second best defense in the Canadian Football League at stopping the run.
By the way, these Labor Day Classics, just about always close. Down inside the final 3 minutes, one possession. And on that, to Lucky Whitehead. And he gets it up across to about the 33. And that is the end of the first 15 minutes, a fast quarter. And touchdown drives for both, some big defensive plays as well. Strebler takes it in for the Bombers. Saskatchewan answered back. Harris to Bain. 7-7 Labor Day in Regina. Regina, look at the numbers after one quarter. Defense is strong in the first possession, Salapo, for each team, but after that, the offense has put together some good drives.
Yeah, they've done it by not just, they're trying to run the football, but the run has been difficult for both football teams. But I really like what both teams do with the short control passing game to keep them in second and manageable situations. And the Riders did give up an explosive play, something they don't normally do, that led to the Bombers touchdown, but a great response by the Riders to keep their defense, their crowd in this game.
That was first, that big strike from Zach Collaros to Ontario Wilson. And the Winnipeg offense back on the field again, notable. On the left side of that offense, you see Randolph there, Kendall Randolph taking over at left tackle for the injured Stanley Bryant, or ill Stanley Bryant, who gave many a scare last week and thankfully doing so much better and watching now. But they chose to sit him out for another week. And what a staple, what an outstanding player in that Winnipeg offensive line for years. Intercepted, picked off Riders. And they're ruling that Marcus Sales was down after catching the ball as he takes it to the house anyway. Marcus Sales jumping in front of the intended Bomber receiver, and that's his third interception of the season, and went down after the pick.
Zach's trying to throw the ball there's a hole in the defense on the left-hand side, but the corner is driving from outside in to make the play. You have to see what that corner's going to do when you try to throw in this big space. Sometimes the defense is going to give you that spot so Sales can go make the play. Great opportunity for him. He just doesn't finish.
And that was the 13th time that Zach Collaros, quite the celebration by Sales there in the end zone, but 13, that leads the CFL in interceptions thrown. Collaros picked off there, so here comes Trevor Harris. And throwing, and just out of the hands of Joe with Dietrich Nichols there with him. But Rider offense set up in a good spot here at the Winnipeg 41.
And I know talking to Sales and all those guys, it's like every time again, I need more touchdowns on my interceptions. I got to finish more. As we go, great play on the ball, trying to get that throw on the outside. I love Dietrich Nichols making a nice play. He's got great instincts watching him on tape. This is exactly what they want to do.
Well, and
get their takeaways, create short fields like they've always done, and put themselves in position, already in a position for a field.
I was going to say, Lapo, they lead the CFL in giveaway takeaway. +1 on this night, throwing, but a flag is out. Just heading off Frankie Hickson's way, but a couple of flags out in the field. But yeah, in terms of turnovers, the last time they met, Winnipeg.
Offside. Winnipeg number 5. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Well, Willie Jefferson offside there, but in the last game 6 weeks ago, Winnipeg turned it over 3 times, Saskatchewan none.
Yeah, and those turnovers, Zach had one in field goal range, and then Nick Dembski was running the ball downfield and it was a huge explosive play, put them in field goal range at least, if not more, and Jamar Thurman made an unbelievable strip sack or strip on the football, punched it out, and caused a turnover in that last game.
That was big. That was a 7-point difference at that point with the Bombers driving. That was back in July 19th, and the injured players, their center, Peter Godber. And the Riders have dressed only 6 offensive linemen for this one. The backup offensive lineman is Noah Zur. There he is, number 68. So they've had some key injuries on their offensive line. That's the left guard, Zach Fry. And it looks like Fry would be going in, the product of Western, would be going in at center for Godber, and Zur to come in at left guard for Fry.
And this is something you're going to practice all week. You're going to make sure that he gets snaps playing that backup center. There's going to be a rotation through that as they continue to go.
So a change in the O-line and a 2nd and 5 coming up here for Saskatchewan at the Winnipeg 36 and a 7-7 tie. Just a 3-man rush. As Harris is caught, he steps up, completes it to Dante Myers, who breaks a tackle, who gets inside the 20 and has a first down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Trevor recognizing that there's nothing open on the inside, so what I'm going to go look, I'm going to climb the pocket and find the outside one-on-one. Makes the beautiful play, but you need great pass protection. Watch what Fry does here. Him and Furlan do a tremendous job on Jake Thomas, giving him time to climb the pocket and bring it closer to red zone range.
All the way down to the 18 of Winnipeg. Riders threatening. Last time they had the ball, they got a touchdown late first quarter. Handing off, Frankie Hickson, nowhere to go. Push back, still on his feet though. Bumped, and he does well to get back to the original line of scrimmage a couple of times. Celestin Habe in on that tackle, but Winnipeg had a chance to take him down for a loss, and Hickson kept working.
You want to have leg drive, you want to keep your feet moving. You did never, the hardest part in all run game in the Canadian Football League is when you get penetration like he had there by the Bombers. It just slows everything down and starts making you, and when you start moving horizontally, you're not going to get any yardage. So it forces the 2nd and long situation.
So loss of maybe an inch, but 2nd down and 10. Frankie Hickson. Once again, the Rider running back in this game. Harris in this passing down. 4-man rush. End zone block. Touchdown. Myers. First CFL touchdown for Dante Myers in his 4th CFL start. And the home side has taken the lead on this Labor Day Sunday.
A 3-man rush here allows Trevor enough time to find the Myers moving inside on the post in the middle of the field after they clear out the inside routes.
Mama, this for you.
Myers continues to be a force. And only his 4th week on the roster, Rod.
He made quite a statement his first couple of games. He had 8 catches for 101 yards in each of them. In Ottawa for his debut, and then at home against Montreal. But that one caps off a 5-play, 41-yard drive, aided by the turnover. So points off the turnover, and the point after by Brett Lother. Dante Myers. Trevor Harris has a couple of touchdown passes in this Labor Day Classic, including that one.
Watch Myers here on the outside, but I also want you to watch Kean Schaefer-Baker. He's going to clear out the high player. Myers going to go in, and then he's going to work up. This is called a middle play. You cancel out the high player. He starts running down, and that little pause right there gives enough time for the halfback to move out of the way. Then he can go back to the middle of the field, and you see the halfback home move out of the way. They have nobody else inside, so that's great execution, Rod. And once again, we just keep talking about Myers. And thank God they've got this guy on the roster the last 4 weeks. Been tremendous for them.
Be hard to take him off the roster now, given what he's done. Myers with his first CFL touchdown coming in. Thomas Bertrand-Houdon, the special teams coverage for Saskatchewan on that return. But
Thomas, the first player in the CFL history to wear a Guardian cap the last couple of weeks.
Of course, very prominent now at practice, training camps. You see in CFL, NFL, all over in football now. But they do allow the choice to wear them, of course, in the games as well. And
Rod, was that a stuffed animal on the sideline?
It looked like
I didn't get a stuffed. Was it stuffed animal? Bill DeBeer Day?
Yeah, I was just going to say right near Dante Myers. I mentioned he's from Delta State. That's in Cleveland, Mississippi. Handing off. Seen too many touches there from Brady Oliveira. He's picked up another couple of yards, but hard to run against that Rider front. Well, mentioning the interception led to that touchdown by Saskatchewan. The Riders mentioned leading in turnover ratio, dominant at +17, +3 against Winnipeg the last time they met, +1 in this game so far. And
yeah, that's when Corey came here, I said that's going to be the thing they need to change. They were last in turnover margin last year. His ability to get this team to preach protecting and taking the ball away has been awesome.
2nd and 6, quick Throw over the middle, that's caught by Drew Wolotarski, and it appears to be enough right across the 40 to be a first down. Yes, it is for Winnipeg.
This is what you love about Zach Collaros. He has pressure. There's a twist, so he has free players. Look at this. You want to play quarterback in the CFL? He's about to get hit by 2 players, but he can still locate it. Find Drew Wolotarski in the middle. Wolotarski's just a sure-handed receiver that I know Zach trusts so much because he's going to be in the right place at the right time for him on passes.
I know you know his value for your time from 16 to 19 when Wolotarski arrived, and now you used him running that Bomber offense, and we're glad to have him back after he missed 4 games. Off to the left, and that one is caught too. That's Kenny Lawler up across midfield. So now Winnipeg's offense has something going with a couple of first downs here and just venturing into the Rider zone.
The CFL offensive play of the year. Everybody runs this, and then they run out to the sideline. Why? Because if that corner runs in, you can throw the out route, and we talk about quarterbacks throwing guys who they trust. Kenny Lawler is somebody that Zach wants to throw the ball anytime he gets a one-on-one situation. Big hands, ability, great range to be able to make the catch. Buck Pierce, offense coordinator, do a nice job.
They spotted right at midfield, and that one intended for Nick Dembski goes too high and away from number 10. It falls incomplete. Second down coming up here for Winnipeg.
Yeah, the ability to use him, Brady Oliveira, allows you to get the ball out on the perimeter. Everybody's staying inside, waiting for Brady to get his runs. Allows Zach to get out on the perimeter, right? And he understands that, hey, I got Dembski, I got all these guys I can put the ball out to with space. He's just got to locate that ball.
You mentioned the Riders preparing for Oliveira. He has only 2 carries for 5 yards. He had 120 yards rushing against Hamilton last week. And it's a passing down at 2nd and 10. Collaros steps up, has a bit of room, and Zach Collaros takes off, and he does get it close to first down yardage, down around the Rider 45. See where they spot this one.
You're seeing both quarterbacks, Rod, have an understanding. This is what we talked about at the start. I don't want to make a bad play. There's 4 people rushing. Everybody else drops into coverage. So what does he do? He says, all right, nobody's taking me. I'm going to go get 9 yards. You saw Trevor get a first down. So both veteran quarterbacks are just taking what the defense gives them, right? Puts them in a position, puts Strevy on the field to get the short yardage QB sneak.
And as we said about Trevor Harris, like Collaros too, doesn't run a lot. And certainly not in this situation when they have Streveler in short yardage, who has their touchdown on the night, and he has a first down there as well, as that punches it over, needed about 6 inches and gets more than that. So the drive will continue here for Winnipeg. Down a touchdown here in the second quarter, approaching the midway point of quarter number 2.
And it's very hard to run against the SAS defense. You got 2 big guys on the inside, Miles Brown, Micah Johnson. You know, they lead the Canadian Football League with tackle for losses, first in the CFO with 69 of them. They played really well inside. They both had opportunities as pass rushing defensive tackles. I think the Rider defense is using both those guys very well.
And rotating in Caleb Sanders, who's in now for Johnson. Putting some pressure on, open receiver, touchdown Winnipeg. Just like that, Nick Dembski, ex-Rider who once played in this Labor Day Classic wearing green and white years ago, gets another touchdown for Winnipeg in this big rivalry game.
Earlier in this game, they got beat by an explosive play playing man coverage with no safety help. Here they're doing a void, what you call a zone void, where they bring pressure, but they still try to play zone. What happens? Bigger spaces open up. Zach recognizes it. They have a seam called, and they hit it. Great throw, and that's Arbit. Sometimes if you don't have a seam called, you can't strike it, but they had a seam called where the hole in the defense was. Great recognition by Zach. Great pickup by the offensive line because it was a pressure more than just 4 people.
Nick Dembski in his 9th year at the University of Manitoba, originally drafted by the Saskatchewan Roughriders and then picked up by the Bombers. What a career he's had. And he also has 64 straight games with at least a catch. 14-14 tie.
On the seams, that's what happens right here. You're going to get multiple players running downfield, and what happens is you see 2 low players, not enough deep players. You'll see the inside Lacombo. He jumps the inside seam, gives the outside seam to Dembski. I love when I see a seam route versus cover 3, Rod. Nothing better from a quarterback or upstairs as a coach, because you know you should be able to score a touchdown.
The old offensive coach in you, you're pushing me around here, getting fired up on both sides for some of their offensive choices.
I was here both places. So
you were an ex-Rider and an ex-Bomber. You know this.
Every fan today was saying we should be picking one side.
Mario Alford just takes a knee on that kickoff. So Trevor Harris about to come back on with another point on the board there for Winnipeg and a 15-14 lead. Harris were teammates with the Argos in 2012 and 13 at the school of Ricky Ray, and they learned an awful lot from that veteran Hall of Famer, and excited to face each other any chance they can. Let's go back to Brett.
Yeah, they told me that during that time, they never actually determined who was QB2 behind Ricky Ray. So it was just constantly a battle between the two of them on the field, off the field, trying to make it into that spot. Now, the weird thing was they were also roommates at the time, but they said they're both so grateful for that time. Caleros told me he actually looks up to Harris, and Harris told me that iron sharpens iron, and that time together is basically what made them get to where they are today.
And Harris throwing there, Brett, and that one's a little bit too far for Kean Schaefer-Baker, but yeah, I mean, mutual admiration. Trevor Harris, too. What Brett was talking about, the competition in that quarterback room behind Ricky Ray was really something.
The most interesting thing he said was, I didn't have competition. I never had any competition until I got to the pro level. Yeah. And if you think, he was a starter in high school probably for 4 years, went to college, went to Edinburgh, probably started right away as a freshman, had a great 4-year career. And then when he goes to the CFL, I had to compete against Zach. I respected him. He was such a great player. That was the first time I really had to become as competitive as I could.
Both from the state of Ohio. Harris dumping it off. He tried to get it to Sean Bain just as Bomber defender was bearing down on him. And
you can see a little bit what Trevor and Mark Mueller are trying to do. So 2 straight plays. They're in what's called empty, so they empty out the backfield. So they have 6 wide receivers out there trying to stretch and create some space against this defense that drops everybody out themselves. So they're trying to create a little bit of space by using even the running backs as receivers on the field, but just 2 errant throws gets him off the field.
So Adam Korsak is standing back at his 25. Lucky Whitehead, a lone returner back for Winnipeg. Bombers have come back and taken the lead after the touchdown to tie it, and then the single point, the rouge on the kickoff. So a punt of 45 yards, and a flag does come out.
During the return, holding Winnipeg number 47. 10-yard penalty. They have first down.
Mentioning that Bomber offense missing this man, one of the greatest offensive linemen in the history of the CFL, Stanley Bryant, first player ever with 5 straight division nominations for any award, 4-time most outstanding offensive lineman. And you know, Winnipeg is always going to miss him when he's not in.
Spent 4 years working with Stanley, one of the best, if not the best offensive lineman I've ever worked with. The players respect him so much. And he doesn't say a lot in meetings, but when he does talk, everybody listens. He doesn't make mistakes. He's by far the best pass protector I've ever worked with in the Canadian Football League.
Kendall Randolph is the left tackle, and he opens things up there for Brady Oliveira. Zach Caleros, of course, now a longer history with the left tackle Stanley Bryant, and here's what Zach had to say about the greatness of Stanley Bryant.
He means a lot to the locker room. He's one of those guys that just has a magnetic personality without really needing to be loud about it. You know, guys just kind of gravitate toward him. I'm sure he's laughing watching this right now, me singing his praises. But yeah, he's a great teammate. Obviously, I think he's the greatest offensive lineman to ever play in this league. I would tell him that to his face too.
Caleros is throwing, and he finds an open receiver over the middle. It's Kenny Lawler again. And Lawler has it down to midfield, and another big strike there by Caleros in the Winnipeg offense.
Zach's on point. You can see this from this end zone shot. If you watch over here, one safety moving to the left. Zach knows I've got the middle of the field open. I just got to get it over the middle linebacker Thurman, and I can hit that ball right down the middle of the field. So Saskatchewan at times will play a middle of the field open and spread everybody out. The Bombers had a seam right down the middle of the field. Great throw and catch by Kenny Lawler and Zach.
Third catch, 54 yards for Lawler in this first half. Back to Oliveira and finding it pretty tough running in there. How about Baldonado? 95 in on the tackle there, and Oliveira continues to find very little room against that Rider defensive front.
I think Zach's going to be kind of upset with himself that he didn't pull that ball as Baldonado came down to make the tackle on Brady Oliveira. He could have pulled it and got out in the perimeter. Stanley Bryant, one more point about Stanley. I'll tell you, like 1 year he got a bunch of penalties in 2016. I sent out to all the players, hey, this is who got the penalties, and I swear to God, he didn't get a penalty the next year, and he said it was just because you sent out a sheet. I was so mad.
He took it personally. 2nd and 9, and trying to dump it off to Oliveira with the heat coming by the Riders. It's incomplete. It's 3rd down, and the punting unit for Winnipeg will come on.
Good stop. Forcing Zach to check it down. This is, again, what both teams are going to face all game long. If you're not productive on 1st and 10, which is they got barely a yard. Now you're long yardage. You get a pass rush. He doesn't have time to look down the field. So Miles Brown, he gets better and better every week watching him on tape. Last game he was very hard for this Bomber offense to run against and also to protect against.
Jamison Sheehan with the punt. Mario Alford and around the 10. Off the hop and gets by him off his hands too. And a Bomber recovery. It's a Winnipeg touchdown. Alertly pounces on a mistake by Alford. That ball touched his hands and it rolled into the end zone, and Winnipeg special teams cashes in this Labor Day Classic.
For the 2nd week in a row, the Bombers special teams. Last week they had scored on a they knocked the ball out and they scored on a bad they forced a fumble and scored on a punt. This one is a mistake by Alfred for the touchdown. 2 weeks in a row this special teams has come up huge for the Bombers, especially coming close to the edge of the half.
For Nick Hallett, he gets the touchdown there. He's done this kind of thing before too. A great special teams player, and including big plays here at Mosaic Stadium. You recall in the Grey Cup a couple of years ago. A game Winnipeg ultimately lost, but he had a big block kick late in that game that could have turned things Winnipeg's way.
I spoke to special teams coordinator Mike Miller before this game and talked about how well their special teams performed last week.
In his 5th year out of the University of Toronto, Nick Hallett on that coverage sees that it touches the hands of Mario Alford and rolls into the end zone, and he pounced on it and gave Winnipeg another touchdown.
Yeah, very similar spot. Once the ball touches his hands, it's free for anybody else. Hallett's down there doing a great job in his coverage, makes the play. Last week it was Tony Jones forced the hit. Michael Ayers on a touchdown. This week, Nick Hallett. Great play. What you got to do on the road? Got to play great special teams. Got to make your plays. Kind of counters the turnover that they had in when they were backed up. There's our guy Mike Miller.
Right from being a player and one of the great special teams player in the history of the game, and goes right into coaching too and running those special teams.
Quick story about Mike Miller. He was such a player. The players loved him so much. Coach O'Shea used to say, hey, put a play in where we throw to Miller as a fullback on the goal line. Get him some throws. Why? Because he always wanted his teammates to see him making a catch because he was so well liked by everybody.
Mike Miller, by the way, the all-time leader in special teams tackles in the history of the Canadian Football League. And loving what Nick Hallett did there in his special teams unit on that coverage, and a touchdown and the ball right back in the hands of Alford and back to Saskatchewan now, but it's an 8-point Winnipeg lead now, opening up all of a sudden on that big play.
Well, you got 3:35 left. There's plenty of time. Just relax. Keep doing what you've been doing in Saskatchewan. They just got to get they get 2 opportunities to drive. Just get your run game going. The last 2 series, they weren't very good on first down, Rod. Can they get better on how do they start on their first downs?
A year ago in the Labor Day Classic, Saskatchewan led throughout until the final minutes. And ultimately, that game ended up going to overtime. The Riders actually needed a
a late field goal by Brett Lother to force OT, and they ended up winning it by the difference of a 2-point conversion. But trailing now 22-14 for Corey Mace, his first year as head coach here in Saskatchewan. So as talked about earlier with Brett, first time he's getting a taste of this Winnipeg Roughrider rivalry.
And yeah, he talked so much about how he loves living here. His wife loves the community and just enjoying being the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
His first taste of the Labor Day Classic here in Saskatchewan. 2nd and 6. And last play before the 3-minute warning, Harris throwing to his left, and it falls incomplete, intended for Emilus, and bearing down Tyrell Ford, making sure nothing happens there. So a 3rd down coming up. The Bombers, they were down a touchdown. They came back, took the lead on a single, and added another touchdown now. Late first half, Winnipeg 22-14, about to get the ball back.
Woo! Who's fired up for Labor Day?
Let's go, baby, let's go.
Come on, let's go. We traveled across the country to be here. We got special teams, we got the QBs. Oh, we've got all kinds of energy.
Zach.
Okay, game balls to the 4 of you and everyone else involved in that, going from BC and a great touchdown Pacific and Victoria, and then making the trip. Not sleeping a whole lot, I imagine, but Kate the panel. They're running on adrenaline.
Love the outfits. Looking good today, everybody.
Running hard now, and they'll have thoughts on this at halftime. There we go, Evan Holm on the return after that punt. So yeah, so we had touchdown Pacific. We got the Labor Day Classic here in Saskatchewan, and then it continues. The tradition continues. Bo Levi Mitchell's never lost a Labor Day game, and he's getting the start for the Ticats against the Argos. And that starts it off. Part 1 of the doubleheader to be followed by the Edmonton Elks. Lost a close one in Montreal after winning 3 in a row. Big one in the West against the Calgary Stampeders. Labor Day weekend, OK Tire. That's tomorrow. The doubleheader Monday, as we do every year here on TSN. Looking forward to that as well. We're late here in the first half, 2:26 on the clock at Mosaic. The Riders, who'd had a 7-point lead, seen the Bombers come back with a touchdown, a single, and then a special teams touchdown to take that lead. 22-14 in the hands of Nick Dembski, up across the 30, about the 35. Dembski, who had a catch for a touchdown to extend his streak to 65 straight games with at least 1 catch. That 1 catch good for a major score.
Sometimes you hand the ball off laterally, Rod. Why you do that? Because you protect your core inside runs. Everybody's trying to stop the run inside. Dembski's one of the best at those speed sweeps, going in different directions. As soon as I got with him in 2018, I said it was an 18 or 17. I said, all right, we're going to use you as a running back. You're also going to catch balls, but we're going to make sure you can touch the football as a tailback also. 2nd and 4 now. Winnipeg 35. There's Oliveira. As mentioned, yardage coming at a premium for Brady Oliveira. Before that carry, he had 4 carries for 11 yards, and he does have enough there to pick up the first down, and 7 more for Brady Oliveira. We had talked about Nick Dembski, your time as the offensive coordinator in Winnipeg from 16 to 19. Of course, you'd been head coach there in years before, but you were excited to see this Saskatchewan draft pick end up as a Blue Bomber. Well, you know, he had been playing field number 1 and wasn't getting a lot of throws in Saskatchewan. And in free agents, we talked to him like, hey, we want to put you the slot closest to the football. We want to use you as a tailback as well, as I just said, and we're going to give you speed sweeps. We're fortunate enough to get him. Claris with time over the middle, and no. Frustrated, Drew Wolatarski thought he had it and couldn't hang on, and then pounds the ball into the turf. 2nd down. Real good progression by Zach going across the field. Knows that there's nobody over Wolatarski. The ball's a little bit low, but I'm sure Drew would be mad that he didn't make that catch. Now that puts him in that 2nd and long situation. He does have 2 catches for 20 yards. His first game back since he got hurt, a rib injury several weeks ago in Toronto. He missed 4 games. His 7th year out of Minnesota. Crowd picking up again here. Trying to make it a little bit tougher for Claris now in the 2nd and 10 from the 42. It's caught right back to 82. Had the drop, now has the catch, and it looks like has the Winnipeg first down as well. Very good vision by Zach. Understands, again, this is same thing, same picture. 4 rushers trying to get to the quarterback. Everybody lifting in zone. The middle of the field is wide open for Wolotarski. He finds that space at 10 yards. Zach gets the quick throw.
Had him open, but good for the confidence of a receiver after a drop as well to go right back to him.
Can we reset the game clock to 1:49, please?
Buck Pierce doing a nice job with this unit. You know, it's funny, he's had so many great seasons as offensive coordinator and really done so well. They're facing a little bit of younger players this year, a little bit of adversity. But I liked what they did last week, getting Brady the ball, right? And Zach,
I imagine he learned a few things from the previous offensive coordinator.
I don't know about that. Maybe what not to do, maybe.
It looks seamless, seriously. Everything you had him going in 19 when you won the Grey Cup with Winnipeg, and then right to Buck Pierce to run that offense after you left. That's thrown and caught, and that's Ontario Wilson. Picking up another first down for the Bombers on the move with 1:25 in the clock till halftime.
You're going to have a player in the flat, you're going to have a clear out, and then you're going to have a corner out. This is called a vertical stretch, and you read what the corner does. Brady going out into the flat keeps the corner low, and that gives you an opportunity to throw over his head. Ontario Wilson is in a great spot. Great by Zach seeing the corners low, and I'm going to take the level 2 throw above the corner. Great execution, put them in field goal range.
Wilson 3 catches, 75 yards, including that 45-yarder in the first quarter to set up the first touchdown. Collaros, he avoids the sack, he throws it into the end zone, it's bobbled, and a flag comes out. And that was Deontay Williams in coverage on Kenny Lawler. The flag coming out late, bobbled, still up in the air. We got looks like a pass interference coming up. We have 2 flags actually out in the field right now.
We have 2 penalties on the play. Pass interference, Saskatchewan number 24. Ball was in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. We also had a major foul roughing the passer, Saskatchewan number 90. Balls will be placed at the 1-yard line. First down.
This is taking an opportunity to throw it up to your best player, your one-on-one matchup. Kenny Lawler, when Zach gets opportunities, this is what he tries to do, to get the one-on-one to him. We have Brown coming in, ball's out of his hand, and again, it's not as much late as it's a blow to the helmet. You're not allowed to hit any player in the helmet, so that's what the flag is for the shot to the head. Ball placed at the 1. Let's hope Zach's okay.
He is still down on taking a knee. So 2 reasons for Chris Streveler to come in this game, of course, in short yardage, but also in relief of Zach Collaros.
I mean, pretty spectacular by Zach to get this ball off. You just have to start. There is as soon as the ball's out, the officials are yelling gone, and you cannot touch him. After that official says gone, you cannot touch him. You could have held him up. You just cannot do that. So out on the outside, here's where the PI is. And what actually happens is Zach gets flustered. I was a little worried as he starts to move that he's trying to throw this away, that it could be underthrown and it could have been a pick on the outside by Williams. But he gets enough air on it to draw the flag, put the ball at the 1.
Right down to the 1. Streveler keeps it. Streveler has the touchdown. Second touchdown in this game for Chris Streveler. As they add to their lead, but with concern for their starting QB, Zach Collaros, on the bench after taking that helmet-to-helmet hit. But here's another look at the Streveler touchdown again.
Yard off the ball, very difficult to stop. Just got to get lower, got to drive your legs and finish with your feet in the end zone. Really good.
Just had to break that front plane, Chris Streveler, and that is his 2nd touchdown of this game, his 9th rushing touchdown this season. Sergio Castillo with the point after try. And at one point, the Bombers were trailing 14-7. But since that, 22 straight points for Winnipeg as they're opening up a more commanding lead heading to halftime. But We do wonder about the health of Zach Collaros after taking that hit from Miles Brown.
What I really think has to happen too here, you've got some time left, a minute 16, so you can come, drive down length field, get a field goal, get a touchdown, you want to do, but they also have to be careful. Trevor Harris is big. Last week there was 50 seconds left. They threw an interception that gave Toronto an opportunity to get points right before the half. So that's what's, they certainly have plenty of time to get down the field to make a play, but they also just got to make sure that they don't put themselves in a position where Winnipeg can get even more points.
Mario Alford back, one of the returners back, along with Thomas Bertrand-Hudon for Saskatchewan. Riders in a big hole now for a 7-play, 81-yard drive, aided largely with that pass interference call that set them up at the 1.
And this is what I talked about, Rod. It's pretty quiet in the stadium right now. Make your plays, quiet the stadium down.
They've done an effective job of that with a 29-14 lead. 1 minute 15 seconds to go until halftime, and Alford looking to atone for a mistake he made that led to a Bomber touchdown and excellent coverage on that kickoff by Winnipeg. So Trevor Harris back on now with the Riders in a hole, and Harris 8 for 17 for 104 yards. Has thrown a couple of touchdown passes, but things have cooled off for the Rider offense.
No rush, just put a drive together. You got plenty of time. Clock will stop after every play. Restart. You just got to get good first down production.
One of the reasons it's cooled off is they just haven't been on the field as much. Winnipeg leading in the time of possession. The Saskatchewan 19, 1:08 to go until halftime.
Timeout, Winnipeg.
I'm not sure whether it be a personnel issue or they just wanted to talk about something. I don't think Coach O'Shea's real happy with it.
We were talking about him the other day, how that you can't tell with Mike O'Shea if his team is 0-4 as they started this season or 14-4 as they've ended seasons before. Very even, and was not about to panic when they had that really rough start to the season at 0-4. They went to 2-6 last time here. They had won a couple of games, then they fell to 2-5, then lost in Toronto, but they have not lost since that game to the Argos. And looking to win their 4th straight here today. They have the lead. Dante Myers has a touchdown in this game. He had the ball there up across the 30. 1:02 in the clock as the Riders are going to see if they can quickly push down and at least cut into this 15-point Bomber lead.
A really good throw on the outside. You have what's called free access. If Terrell Bonds plays off, throw a 10-yard out, get a first down, keep moving the chains.
Up at the 31, under a minute to go. Harris working quickly, sends it over to Frankie Hickson, turns it upfield, and a big pop there, and Evan Holm too. And a little chat with him afterwards as he gets it up closer to a first down, and a tempo offense here for Saskatchewan with time running out in the half.
Impressive. He went to his 4th read on that play. So, you know, when you have veteran quarterbacks, they can flip their hips, find it. When you do that, you can get good yardage.
The handoff to Hickson this time. On that 2nd and 1, so he has the first down and more across the 45. Still some work to do if they can get it into Brett Lother's field goal range.
So with 43 seconds, they're going to be at the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to conserve time because, you know, they hit 1 or 2 more shots, they could get a touchdown, but they're certainly just trying to get at least into field goal range.
The 45 now on a first down. Scrambling around is Harris to the left. He'll take off again for the 2nd time in this game and get himself safely out of bounds. Gets it up closer to midfield. 31 seconds on the clock.
The beauty of this defense that Jordan Younger likes to play is, hey, we are going to make sure everybody is covered, and we're going to do something. We're either going to get a pass rush, or one of our rushers is going to get home, or we're going to disrupt the timing for the quarterback. And you see that happening. Trevor's got to do what he can do. You know, he's not a runner. I'm sure they're going to say if he runs more than he throws, if he runs 5 times, he's not going to get first downs. He's not going to create explosives. Let's cover the receivers, take away his first read.
Riders would like to get at least another 10 yards to set up Lother. It's a 2nd and 2, and Hickson gets it just up across midfield. That is enough to pick up the first down. 26 seconds. World's greatest panel. It's unanimous. Lapo and I certainly agree. Kate Burness, Davis Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, and Milt Stegall. And They're refreshed after 2 hours sleep, coming back from Touchdown Pacific and ready to talk about this one. And then they're heading off to Hamilton tomorrow, no less. Pressure on Harris. Oh, in this situation, Jamal Woods with a big quarterback sack of Trevor Harris just when they're trying to get into field goal range. The worst thing that can happen in that scenario, hanging on to the football for Harris and the Riders.
A three-man rush. You watch the pressure from the top. That's a basically throw the center out of the way, throw Fry out of the way, be able to go make the play.
And in and out of the hands of Samuel Emilus. You know what he wanted to do. See, receivers, even the best of them, they want to turn it up and run, and they hadn't secured the football.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate, you take the sack, it's going to take them out of field goal range. They needed some yardage to get field goal range. That play probably wouldn't have got them in a field goal range situation. So, at the end of the half, it's, they didn't do a great job executing the opportunity to get the first down. Similar to last week, Rod, they threw an interception with 50 seconds left, backed up, gave Toronto an opportunity where they got 3 points.
So the Riders will just hope to be down 15 heading to the dressing room at this point. 6 seconds on the clock, and Adam Korsak out to punt it away. The lucky Whitehead. Excuse me, Evan Holm back on the punt return again there for Winnipeg as it rolls out of bounds. And that'll be it for the half. Final play of the first half, and a very good half for Nick Dembski's Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Zach Collaros, we wonder about his health after he took that hit earlier on, but walking off in his own steam. And this big play to Nick Dembski, one of the defining moments for the Bombers.
Nick last year was great. He's got the ability to recognize space in zone. You could tell Zach and him were right on the same page. When that pressure came, he's like, I'm going to run right down that seam. Zach throws a shot right down the seam. The corner can't come over to make the play. Love what Dembski's done. I love the response that these guys have done, and he's with Britt right now.
Nick, your team comes out here and takes a commanding lead in the first 2 quarters. So what's going to be key to hold on to it in the final 2?
Yeah, we just got to keep playing good football. We're executing pretty well. We're still, have some things to fix, but, we just got to come out here, win the second half, and we'll be just fine.
You know about the excitement of Labor Day from both sides of the ball. So tell me how it feels when you do come out here and help put some points on the board.
Oh, it's nice coming out in the opponent's stadium. It got a little bit quieter, but at the same time, it's a good team. You can't sleep on them. We still got another half of football to play, so we just got to keep doing our thing, and good things will happen.
Thanks, Nick. Have a great second half.
Thank you.
We'll send it back.
29-14. A look at the stats. 1 turnover each, and both led to touchdowns. A touchdown scored, the first in his CFL career, for Dante Myers of the Riders, standing by with Brett.
Dante, we know still plenty of time left in this game, so what was the message at the half?
Leave it all out there for your brothers. We got 30 minutes guaranteed of football, and we just got to get the job done. Any means necessary, empty the tank. Just take your shot and make a play.
You're experiencing your first Labor Day Classic. How good did it feel to get a touchdown in this one?
We're just trying to get points up on the board. We're not really worried about who does it. So just for me, I'm just happy I can go out there and try to get the job done, get a touchdown for the team.
All right, looking forward to more action in the second half.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Labor Day weekend brought to you by OK Tire here on TSN as it continues. The Bombers lead. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. Lapo Zach Collaros not coming out in helmet and shoulder pads. Looks like his day is done.
Chris Trevor will draw it up, and now I'm sure at halftime, Buck Pierce and staff, they're trying to figure out what are the best things we can do. Stay on schedule, using Chris Trevor's legs as well as his arms. Again, you just don't like to see this. Anytime there's a hit to the head on the player, it's unfortunate. When he was playing, he had a great half. 2 really nice explosive throws for touchdowns. Now Chris Trevor will draw it in. So the Riders are going to have to adjust defensively also, because this game plan will change. There's going to be similar things, but I'm sure Buck Pierce has on his call sheet several plays that are just Streveler-type runs, and it's also their short yardage in the game package.
Here's Mario Alford on the return to start the second half, of the flag coming out, and Trevor Harris coming on. Harris in that first half.
During the return, holding, Saskatchewan number 31. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So they'll start a little further back, as announced by Tom Valesi. But Harris 10 for 20, 125 yards. Sharp on a couple of drives and 2 touchdown passes.
They had an 11-play, 80-yard drive with a touchdown to end in Sean Bay. Took 6 minutes. You know, the second drive, they're on a short field because of the takeaway by their defense, led to the Dante Myers pass. But they need rhythm and success on first down. And as we've talked about all game, that Winnipeg will not give you a lot of completions, especially on second and long. You got to get your completions here on 1st and 10.
Labor Day Classic, second half underway now. Saskatchewan ball, handing off to Frankie Hickson, breaks it out left, and coming in to take him on is the defensive back Evan Holm, but Hickson pushes his way up to around the 25, and it'll be about a 2nd and 5 coming up now.
Why is Holm closer to the line of scrimmage? When you add tight ends, those halfbacks have to go become the outside gap players. Evan Holm comes up, makes a great tackle to make the play on Hickson.
A former All-Star and one of the leading tacklers for the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense.
Jordan Younger said he is the fastest player on their defense.
So here we go, 2nd and 5 now for Harris, quickly throwing, open receiver, caught, and going back and turning it up now. Kean Schaefer-Baker. Great yardage after the catch for Schaefer-Baker, gets it up near midfield, and a 1st down for Saskatchewan.
Very similar to what was happening with Winnipeg hitting the underneath crossing routes as everybody lifts in coverage. Go ahead, throw it to a guy in a crossing route, see if these linebackers can cover. Sometimes there's too much space on this Canadian Football League field, Rod, and you just encircle all the players. And what the thing that helped them was the positive yardage on 1st and 10.
Well, gain of 27, a lot of that after the catch for Schaefer-Baker. And a 1st and 10 up at the Rider 52. Play fake, quickly throwing again to Keyshawn Johnson. Harris working faster. And another strike for a 1st down in the Bomber zone for Saskatchewan.
I love this play action pass here. This is a quick play action where Trevor spins, quick fake, spins around to move the linebackers and hit Johnson right behind the linebackers as the linebackers step up for the run. This is the drive they need, right? Get good yardage, continue to throw the ball on 1st and 10. Play action pass was very good to them last time they played this Bomber defense.
You see Zach Fry, 67, still at center. Peter Godber, their starting center, got hurt in the 1st half, will not be back. It's a low snap too, and no chance after that low snap taken from Fry for Harris to get anything away, and lost yardage there.
So that's one of the issues when you have, that's one of the issues you have when you're playing a center who doesn't get as many reps. If the snap is bad, it's going to throw everything off. And certainly, I believe, you know, when this is going to be off on a run play, Trevor's trying to fix it by just throwing it to make it an incomplete pass, but he can't because of the pressure off the edge. So it's super crucial that these snaps continue to stay in a position where the quarterback can operate.
Fry had to move to center from left guard. Noah Zur in at left guard then for the Riders now. 3-man rush, little pump fake. Harris had the time, but running out of it quickly, and that goes incomplete on the 2nd and 12. So a 3rd down now coming up for Saskatchewan.
And you can see what Jordan Younger's trying to do here. There's 3 people only rushing the quarterback. Why? Because they're using everybody else to cover. So now Trevor doesn't have any place to throw. When he doesn't have any place to throw, he goes to scramble. Their change of game plan is Nick Hallett is now chasing Trevor. He steps up and makes the play. So they're using multiple defensive backs, Rod, in this scheme on 2nd and long.
And this is a long attempt for Brett Lother. 55 yards away. He tried a 57-yarder and missed on that earlier this season. It's good. Long field goal for Lother, his first of over 50 yards this season. A 55-yarder and 3 valuable points for the Riders. Trying to cut into that Winnipeg lead. They do there, courtesy Brett Lother. Young guy took a 7-1 team into Saskatchewan, heavily favored against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. What happened that day?
Oh, we lost. they were 1-7. We were 7-1. And in true fashion, the Bombers had a billboard that talked about that. Said, "You guys are backwards here in Saskatchewan." We lost 27-7.
And it's unbelievable. Saw your embrace of the opposing coach, who was a bit of a mentor to you as well, and Ken Miller, as they They mourn his loss today, just passing away recently of cancer.
Outstanding individual, Coach Miller. I can tell you in this business, I don't think I ever saw that individual ever raise his voice to anybody or say anything bad about people. I loved my time working with him. Darian Durant, who's here tonight, he's the one who said we're going to start Darian Durant and become our starting quarterback. Luke Mullender was also on that football team. You see Luke there. But Coach Miller, he gave us advice all the time, but he let us coach. That's what I respected about him. The players would run through a wall for him, and he wasn't the rock star, but I'll tell you what, those players loved him and would do anything for him. Great leader.
Very nice tribute before the game to the former coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Ken Miller.
And I know his wife, Maureen, will be up here in a couple weeks. I spoke to Maureen last week, and she talked about how this community embraced her husband and embraced her. She has so many fond memories and so many friends, and it's just very, she is so humbled by how many people in this community in Saskatchewan loved Coach Miller and had such a great experience with him. So we're thinking about you, Maureen, and
absolutely.
Thanks a lot for everything, Coach Miller. Outstanding man.
Well said. Chris Trevler was in at quarterback for Winnipeg as that drive stalls, so Jamison Sheehan punts it away to Mario Alford, running in for it, grabs it. Good special teams tackle by Michael Ayers in to take down Alford. He's had some big tackles and punt coverage so far this season. Trevor Harris back on. Defensive tackle Jake Thomas, his 199th game as a Bomber, tying him with a guy by the name of Milt Stiegel for 5th overall. How about that list, Lapo?
Amazing list. Milt Stiegel is a great one. Chris Walsey, all those. Jake Thomas was as a head coach, 4th round pick, 29th overall in 2012. Jeff Cummings from Acadia said, Paul, if you draft him, you will not be wrong. Obviously, great career for Jake.
Jeff Cummings is right. Throwing quickly, completing it, 2 and a big hit. Ball comes out. Brandon Alexander bearing down on Sean Bain. That loose ball alertly recovered by the Riders.
I asked Jordan Younger, about defense coordinator of the Bombers, about all his defensive backs, and he said one thing about Brandon Alexander is physicality. That what he brings, he's one of the most intelligent. He's the captain of our defense, but he is as physical as we have for a defensive back as Jordan has ever worked with.
And it was Frankie Hickson on the recovery, but Brandon Alexander, the great veteran safety in his 7th year out of the University of Central Florida for the Bombers. A couple of Grey Cup rings. It's a 2nd and short now. In and short yardage is Shea Patterson, who started 6 games at quarterback for the Riders earlier this season when Trevor Harris was hurt, but Harris will come back on again after Patterson picks up that 1st down for the Riders.
Back to Brandon Alexander in the 2019 run to the Grey Cup when I was working with the Bombers. We had struggled in a couple of games. We made a change at free safety, and we went with an extra American in the back end. And as soon as we solidified Brandon Alexander in that spot, we looked different on defense. And he was a catalyst for us to lead us to that Grey Cup championship in 19.
So a 1st and 10 now for the Riders. Trevor Harris, he steps up, he takes off again. His 3rd rush this game. It's across midfield. Crowd's not liking it.
It's a late slide.
He slides late. Celestin Haba moving in on him.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Winnipeg number 45, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Here's what I would say. I thought, the league heads talked about these quarterbacks and making sure they slide early, because what was happening is quarterbacks were waiting and waiting and waiting, and they were sliding late. And they say, well, when you keep sliding late, you're going to continue to get hit. You got to start sliding earlier. I would have thought that was a late slide that they wouldn't put a flag on, but obviously they saw that they felt it was a rough.
Well, he picked up 8. Trevor Harris did, Lapo, and then add 15 more with the penalty. They're down to the Bomber 40 now. They're trailing by 12. We got a field goal last time out. Harris completes it. It's caught by Emelis down around the 33. And Tony Jones among the Bombers there to take him down, but another play to set up 2nd and short. It'll be about a yard shy as Patterson will come back on for short yardage.
Watch the eyes of the quarterback. He starts here, he goes to here, and he finishes there. This is what you want out of your quarterback. I can't find anybody open to the left. I flip my hips. I start to move. Here's where my check down is, because everybody's following the quarterback's eyes. It creates space. That's an awesome execution of progressing across the field as a quarterback.
Second and short. Shea Patterson in at quarterback. This time he takes off to the right, and he does get it inside the 30. It's Jones hauling him down, but not before another Saskatchewan first down.
And you're usually doing these wider. I would call this a basically quarterback outside zone, because the farther wide you get on these tight end sets, the smaller the players are. You don't want to run into Jake Thomas. You don't want to run into the bigger guys on the inside. You want to get it out on the perimeter where they have all the defensive backs. Now, the problem is, if there is penetration, you could be in a bad situation. Looks like we have an injury. So here's what's happening. So with 6 offensive linemen on the roster, and why do you carry 6 offensive linemen? Because sometimes, normally, what doesn't happen is you have 2 offensive linemen hurt. Here was what happened. Right now, the second offensive lineman is hurt for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So then that triggers, if you only have 6 on the roster, you're going to have to take a defensive player. That is Micah Johnson. Now he is going to go in and play. They'll put him at guard.
Well, I was going to say, not only another injury in O-line, but another center. That's Zach Fry, who took over at center. He moved from left guard to center when Peter Godber got hurt. And now Micah Johnson comes in. He puts on the 57 jersey and comes in to play guard, as you talk about. So it looks like Logan Ferlin will go in, and this will be the 3rd center for the Rider offense in this game.
So what the players next to Micah Johnson have to do, and this has happened to me as a head coach several, maybe 2 or 3 times in my career, what happens is you basically are going to be telling them, hey, we're zoning to the left. Work with me. You're coming to me. All right, this is pass protection. They are going to be communicating to Micah every play on what happens on every pass play. Let's see if we can see what happens to him.
The center, 67, Zach Fry. When they got injured on that play.
Right down there in the middle.
Seen him extending his right leg, but
his leg's out where they got rolled over. But this is going to be now very difficult. You'll see Micah here at right guard. He's going to get these practices, reps at this every once in a while.
Patchwork offensive line now for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, down, needing points, moving the ball, and a good gain on the ground. Right up Micah Johnson's way. Pick up there by Frankie Hickson, running right in behind.
Look at that guy right there. So the one thing he does, he has some girth. What does he do? He just pushes down the line of scrimmage. He takes Woods and moves them. They cut behind him. So the O-line are telling you, we got your back. We'll tell you what to do. We're zoning to the right. We're zoning to the left. He's going to get probably minimal practice reps of this, if sometimes even just a walkthrough the day before the game to go through these scenarios.
We were joking with Corey Mace earlier about Micah Johnson. Now, he came to the Stampeders as a rookie. He'd been a linebacker. He didn't want to be a defensive lineman. That worked out okay. And so does this for Hickson. He picks that up and he gets it down, and looks like another first down. It is for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So Micah Johnson was convinced to be a defensive tackle and an excellent one, and now he's getting a shot on the offensive line.
Status quo. Throw checkdowns when everybody lifts. Right, be in manageable situations with the run game allows you to keep getting first downs. Let's get a look at our pass protection. What helps him is just get a wide body, put him. They're going to try to put him what's called the slide side, where he has help by the center. Try to do that as much as they can so he's not by himself in pass protection.
Down inside the 23. Or inside the 20, I should say, and that one short yardage picked up. Not much there for Frankie Hickson that time around. 2nd and long coming up.
The thing this does also hurt is it hurts the opportunity for Micah to go play on the other side of the football. And he's going to get a lot of time with the offensive line coach after these series. So that'll be interesting to see on the sidelines whether Micah is even utilized at all as a defensive lineman, or they just say, hey, stay with the O-line, spend time with the coaches, watch film as they're looking at their iPads on the sideline.
Not the first time that Micah Johnson's been called into this situation this season. 2nd and 9.
And Harris, end zone, bobbled, and it hits the turf. In a crowd, the Bombers looking for Emelis right underneath the goalpost, and it's 3rd down, and Brett Lother will be coming on to see if they can get 3 more on the board.
Attacking the perimeter and attacking the outside. As he looks, he double clutches and goes on the outside throw. Dietrich Nichols, as a high player, makes a play on Emelis. Really good with his left hand, getting that long arm in to make a play on the ball. Love Dietrich Nichols, his ability to recognize routes and make breaks on the football.
Brett Lother hit a 55-yarder just before. This is 30 yards closer, 25 yards away. And Lother pumps that one through as well. He's 2 for 2. 29-20 the score.
Mystery with Strevler earlier this season when Zach was also injured. So from here on out, it's the Strevler show, guys.
And Brett, back in week 5, the Bombers were 0-4 and Zach Collaros was hurt. Chris Strevler got his first start since 2019 in that game against Ottawa. A lot of running for the Bombers. He was 13 of 21, but he and Brady Oliveira tore it up in the ground, and Winnipeg did win that game. The only start for Strevler. On in relief now for Collaros, and gets it off to Nick Dembski up to the 50. Dembski was a touchdown in the first half in this game. Picks up a first down here.
The game plan for the Riders is going to be blitzing and making Chris Strevler a throw. They blitz 2 people off the outside edge. He gets the throw to Dembski. Dembski beats the blitz. This is on another what's called behind the line of scrimmage throw. Gets it all the way up to get really good yardage. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to stop the run route as much as they can and force him to throw the football from second and long.
And Lapo, you were the offensive coordinator for all those Strevler starts in 2018 and 19. Worked him well with Zach Collaros when Collaros arrived late in 2019, but you certainly saw a lot of him and coached him early on in his CFL career.
Just got the ability to really, he threw the ball better than people give him credit for, but he's got the ability to run at a different level that guys don't have. Like when he pulls the ball down and goes, he's going to get a 10 to 12 yard football play. So he's got to just make good decisions with the football as he faces this unit, and the Riders got to make sure they protect the edges because he's going to be able to pull it and run.
Trying to get Brady Oliveira going. He had a good pickup to set up a 2nd and 4, and he has the first down by the looks of things there inside the 50. And as mentioned in that game against Ottawa, with the dual threat to run the football, it really opened it up for Oliveira, and Strevler had a lot of yardage in that one on the ground.
Yeah, the hardest thing for Strevy and trying to figure out, how do you attack him? You just got to make sure that I know you want to get Brady. I know you want to get eyes on Brady, but you also have to not allow Strevler to get around the edge of the defense, because if he does, it's going to be a big game.
And so they can't key on Oliveira the way they did in the first half. They're seeing some early signs of that with the presence of Strevler and a couple of carries there by number 20. Back in his hands again, feeling his way through, and another decent gain on first down for Oliveira. They'll set up a 2nd and short as he gets that inside the Rider 45 with Strevler in. No coincidence that Winnipeg's offense is turning to the ground.
Yeah, with 92 now, with Micah on the sidelines as a full-time offensive player, you're not going to get him in. Caleb Sanders and Miles Brown are going to have to respond and be the big players on the inside to stop these counter runs and all these runs that the Bombers are doing.
So they spot it at the 45, so it's a 2nd and 5. Strevler in at quarterback with the injured Zach Collaros for Winnipeg with a 9-point lead. Faking the handoff, and Strevler will run. Wants to find the edge, and a good job by Roland Milligan. What a season he's having to come in and prevent Strevler from any chance at all of picking up that first down.
This is what I was talking about. They're going to keep everybody inside. They're going to pull people around to let Strevler get out on the perimeter. But watch the speed of Roland Milligan coming off from his high halfback position to make that tackle. Can't say enough about how spectacular his football play has been this season.
So that'll bring on Sergio Castillo for his first field goal attempt of the night. Bombers have 4 touchdowns and 1 single off a kickoff.
No wind.
But this distance, Castillo's been nailed to long kicks, a 52-yard try. That's nothing at all for him as he does tuck that one in. He has 2 60-yarders on the season. That one increases the Winnipeg lead to 12. It's 32-20. Switch uniforms and getting some advice now for the offensive line. Let's go back to Brett.
Yeah, this is the second time this season he's had to do that. You remember back in the Edmonton game, he also had to move over to the offensive line due to injuries. Talked to him after that game about it and asked him, when's the last time you did that? He said, I don't even remember. Now he's doing it twice in one season. But we're seeing a lot of success from Micah on the defensive side of the ball. You guys mentioned the sack leader in this league. He lined up to Corey Mace next to him in his very first CFL game, and now he's his coach. And Corey Mace told us pressure is disruption. Sacks will come after that if you disrupt, and that's why you see success from Micah Johnson, because he's a disruptor out there.
And now trying to prevent the disruption, Brett. And that's completed. Riders with the football, and Micah Johnson in on the offensive line. That's Samuel Emilus, and that pickup on first down.
So why people have this question, like, well, why don't you have a 7th player? This is what coaches are always dealing with as a head coach or a special
like
teams
a second
coordinator.
offensive lineman.
Yeah, why don't you carry 7 offensive linemen? Because you can have another special teams player.
Right.
And the odds that this happen, they don't happen often, and you don't want to play 16 out of 18 or 18 out of 18 games and have a player who's on the roster doesn't step on the field. That's why you go with 6 sometimes, keep a better special teams player on the field. 2nd and 8 now. Trevor Harris over the middle. It is almost intercepted, nearly caught by Schaefer Baker, but then it popped out, and Brandon Alexander regretting a missed opportunity to get himself an interception, but nonetheless 3rd down, and the Riders will have to kick it away. We talked about the speed of Evan Holm, and he closes and makes a play on this. This is a post in the middle of the field because there's space there, but Holm's ability to close, his speed, is what gets involved to make the play. Adam Korsak inside Rider 30. So last couple of times they were able to get field goals out of their possessions. This time not. Lucky Whitehead at the Winnipeg 10. 58-yard punt by Korsak, and that return just up the sideline. Winnipeg about to take over on offense. Well, don't miss the return of the global phenomenon critics call thrilling and endlessly captivating. I'm talking about HBO's House of the Dragon. The new season is streaming now, and it is only on Crave. Chris Trebler coming back on here. Labor Day Classic, Mosaic Stadium in Regina. Rod Smith, Paul LaPolice, Britt Dort here as the Bombers looking to pick up a win. They did get one 2 years ago in a close game, just a 2-point win. They lost to the Riders, who dominated this rivalry over the last 15, 20 years. But it is Winnipeg in the driver's seat right now. Strebler in for the injured Zach Collaros. Clock ticking down. Last play of the 3rd quarter. Brady Oliveira, the stiff arm there for Roland Milligan as he's sent out of bounds on that first down play and a pickup of 9. Collaros not able to play in the second half. Chris Strebler in for Winnipeg. And the Riders beleaguered offensive line because of injuries too. In this Labor Day Classic, they head to the 4th with Winnipeg leading by 12. As well as anyone, you got to adjust to injuries in game. Both of these teams have to. Winnipeg at quarterback, Saskatchewan on offensive line. There's going to be an adjustment for both teams. First of all, you start with Winnipeg. There's so much pressure because they think Winnipeg's just going to run the ball every play. They're going to need to have some RPOs, which gives Strebler the opportunity. If they blitz, I can throw the football. And for Saskatchewan, I think it's really important. Them offensively with Micah Johnson in the game, they're going to have to do things where he's not at the point of attack of the runs, Rod, if that makes sense. Like get speed sweeps on the perimeter, get the ball out quickly, and throw the ball to screen passes and everything, because you don't want to rely on Micah. And on this side for Winnipeg, you also don't want to just try to keep handing the ball off, because every time since Trevor's gone in the game, the Riders have been blitzing to stop the run on first down. The 4th quarter begins. Winnipeg with the ball and a 2nd and short coming up here. Chris Strebler
short yardage quarterback, and his natural situation there to push a bit to the right and pick up that first down. Streveler throwing the ball in the second half, 2 for 3 for 19 yards. So, Lapo, you talked about it. See how much Winnipeg protecting a lead too and wanting to run that clock down, but 12 points they lead this one. See how their approach to the offense changes.
That should be a conversation now of, hey, listen, we've got a decent lead. We've had a 12-point lead. Let's make sure we milk the clock as much as we can. If you could get rid of one possession for the Riders.
This game is for first in the West, because if the Bombers win, they would tie BC by record, but they already have the season series won. And that's Brady Oliveira with a good carry to get up to about the 45. So another second and short, 3-4 yards to come here for Winnipeg. Now this is the West standings right now in a bizarre year where we came into Labor Day with no team above 500. The Lions beat the Red Blacks decisively yesterday in Touchdown Pacific. They're at 6-6. Riders committed 5-5-1. Winnipeg at 5-6. As mentioned, if the Bombers hang on, they would be tied with BC. However,
it's amazing. Every team below 500 has not happened since 2001. Last time it happened.
It's amazing. And of course, if the Riders can come back and win, they would overtake first place. But they got some work to do right now. It's in the Bombers' hands in a 2nd and 3, but good work up front. Saskatchewan not even close for Brady Oliveira there. It's a 3rd down and 3 punting unit coming on for the Bombers.
You can see them going after Miles Brown and Caleb Sanders with Micah Johnson now playing offensive guard, and really good push up front and that's the hard part. When you run the ball on 2nd and 3, you just hope to get 2 yards so you can get to 3rd and 1, Rod, and you can still do the wedge. But great stop by the interior front of that Riders defense.
Oh, Saskatchewan could use a big special teams play. They got the guy back there who can certainly do it, and Mario Alford. Jamison Sheehan inside his 35 gets that one away, and Alford on the run gets it inside the 20, up the sideline and tiptoes out at the 30 for Harris and that offense. Down 12 points. Micah Johnson, offensive lineman, getting ready to go to work again.
Hey, it's Willie Jefferson, number 5 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Patterson, pressure coming. Can he get away? No, they'll get there. Here's work. Look out, and he's taken back down.
You're watching the Labor Day Classic on TSN. Let's go.
Says Willie Jefferson. Interesting choice of green.
What is he wearing? did he get the memo? What is he wearing green in a promo?
Yeah, he used to play for the Riders. He knows both sides of this one. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan ball at their 30. Harris throwing. Trevor Harris completing it to Dante Myers. At his first CFL touchdown earlier back in the first half. But Willie Jefferson starring wherever he goes. Started his career with Edmonton. And by the way, he did get credit for a sack earlier in this game, so he's now tied with Micah Johnson, who's probably not going to get another sack in this game because he's playing on offense right now with 6 sacks on the season.
Winnipeg's last in sacks this season, which is a big change for what they've done, but they've changed his roles and responsibilities. He no longer has as many one-on-one opportunities, and now he's playing more within a system that has more coverage opportunities.
4-man rush Harris, and he gets away for a moment, and that one goes.
And what I mean by that, Rod, is, well, Jordan Younger, defense coordinator for Winnipeg, he wants to commit more players into the coverage. So the quarterback has no place to throw the football. Well, when you commit more players to the rush, that would have given Willie Jefferson more opportunities where nobody can block, where he ends up blocked one-on-one. Now when they rush 3 players, they're going to double Willie Jefferson. It's going to be hard for him to get one-on-one opportunities. That's why some of his numbers are down, but that's why you cannot complete passes against this Winnipeg defense because they have more players covering the pass.
2nd down and 10. The 41. Over the middle. It's caught, hanging on, taking a hit from Reddick Cramdy. That is Myers with a big first down for Saskatchewan.
Rod, I got to get my eyes right because you know what I'm watching? I'm watching Micah Johnson this whole game. But there's a double move on Bonds. You attack his outside leverage and then you bounce back in. You hope you get this throw before the safety can make a play. They do get it. All right, and that's what you got to do against this Winnipeg team. You got to attack the corners with double moves and try to run by them whenever you can. But I'll tell you, Micah Johnson, really good job blocking Adam Bighill on the pass protection.
The right guard, number 57, Johnson, throwing again as Harris quickly, and that one is down to the 35 as the whistle goes. And that's Keyshawn Johnson, the receiver for Saskatchewan.
I like what they're trying to do. They're mixing up what they're doing. They're having some rhythm. We talked about this at the start of the half. Can they get back to rhythm football? Mark Mueller, you know, he's under it because he's got to figure out how many calls can I make. He's going to be throwing out any special plays, any trick plays are going to come out of the game plan because Micah obviously has not had any of those reps, and you don't really want to put him in that situation.
2nd and 3, quickly to the right. That's caught. Keeping his feet is Johnson. With a big first down for Saskatchewan, working it down towards the Bomber 15. Little fist bump there from Trevor Harris.
Trevor Harris's ability to throw the ball on the perimeter with speed and quickness is what Winnipeg was worried about. Quick throws on the outside. And another nice block by Micah. Just staying in. Basically going to tell him, hey, you keep your feet in front, you take those long arms you have and grab onto those defensive linemen going to rush you.
Winnipeg 16, Saskatchewan's down there. They're pressing. They're down 12. Handing off, Frankie Hickson working his way down to about the 12. Wrestled down there. We're in the 4th quarter. We're under 9 minutes to go.
Bighill making his presence felt. This is one of the things they like to do. They like to they pressure off the edge, and that forces a handoff, and then Bighill is there to clean it up and come over the top to make the tackle. Great to have Bighill back.
Yeah,
for their ability to stop the run.
Missed last week, Lapo, and a little surprise. The hamstring injury healing quickly as he's back in. What a force he is for Bomber D. Quickly again to Johnson inside the 10, down to about the 6-yard line. And depending on where they spot this football, we could be talking about a 1st and goal coming up here for the Riders. It is indeed a first down, Saskatchewan.
Once again, ball out immediately, throw underneath the coverage. Johnson just turns north-south and gets the yardage. Again, if you get any yardage on first down, this is where you're at. What's really helping Micah Johnson is so much 3-man rush by this defense. He doesn't have to really pass protect against anybody.
Riders knocking on the door, needing a touchdown. Little pump fake. End zone, touchdown. Johnson again. Keyshawn Johnson with the catch that's got the Riders right back into this game.
Willie Jefferson versus Micah Johnson, but the ball's out quick. You got a double team on there. Terrell Bonds, you run a lot of slants at the goal line. So they fake the slant, and then they do the sluggo. Slant and go, Rod, goes to the back of the end zone. Terrell Bonds jumps the inside move. Great location by the quarterback. Great throw and catch.
And the 3rd receiving touchdown for Keyshawn Johnson from Trevor Harris. They connected last week in Toronto. This is big, though. It gets them that much closer after an 8-play, 70-yard. Led the Riders by 15. That lead has been cut to 5. Johnny Augustine back for the kick return, along with Lucky Whitehead. That's after an impressive touchdown drive with all the patchwork that they've had to do in offensive line for Saskatchewan, and the touchdown strike. The Keyshawn Johnson from Trevor Harris. It's Whitehead on the return and getting it up across the 13. Keyshawn Johnson, 3 touchdowns now for Saskatchewan this season. This one in the Labor Day Classic to get the Riders within a score.
He looks at the quarterback. Some coaches teach players to look in 3-step through the drop. So he jumps that slant, but it's not a slant, it's a slant and go. So he's eyeballing the quarterback. Trevor nods his head, and then he cannot recover. So great game planning by the Riders offense. That's what happens when you look into the backfield as a defensive back.
And that has put some life back in the crowd here at Mosaic. Chris Trebler throwing, and it's caught too. To his friend Drew Wolotarski, and a good pass there by Strebler to buy the Bombers some space, moving it out across the 45.
Diagonal, and a deep dig. If all the diagonal, both the seam and the diagonal are covered, go to your outside player, Wolotarski. It's man coverage. He doesn't like the deeper throws, so he throws the dig to his former teammate from the University of Minnesota, Drew Wolotarski.
Pick up a 17, Wolotarski up to the Winnipeg 49. Bombers can feel some pressure now. Saskatchewan coming back to get it within 5. So handing off to Brady Oliveira. That dual threat to run the football. And it goes to number 20 in a short pickup. It'll be a 2nd and long coming up here for Winnipeg.
Miles Brown slants across the guard's face to create basically a 1-yard gain. Forces 2nd and long. We'll see what the Riders want to do against Strebler.
Biggest crowd ever at Mosaic. Fired up for another Labor Day Classic. Trying to will the Roughriders to complete the comeback, but emphasis on Saskatchewan's defense now, and a big 2nd and 9 Winnipeg. Chris Strebler at quarterback for the Bombers. Looking off to the right, it's incomplete, and it's picked up. The Riders thinking it's a lateral, and coming in, C.J. Rivas on that play, but it's incomplete, and Winnipeg's going to have to punt.
The Riders' plan was to pressure, blitz Strebler. He's going to throw the bubble screen on the outside. He doesn't locate it well enough. When it's not located well enough, this is what happens. So here's the pressure talking about. They say, hey, listen, we're going to make Strebler throw it. We're going to make it throw it quickly. You'll see these 2 players coming. You got to throw these screens. You got to be always deadly accurate on these screens on the outside. And that
clearly a forward pass, but Rivas, seeing how close it was, decides to pick it up, just thinking, just maybe.
What happens is you always tell your all defense
do it anyway,
right? They say you do it in practice all the time. You do it all the time, so you make it a habit for that one time that it is a negative behind the line of scrimmage or a lateral.
So Trevor Harris and the Riders getting the ball back here to punt of 48 yards, and that is Sean Bain on the return.
The Ultra Hole Challenge is back, featuring Wayne Gretzky and Michael Block. Tune in on TSN Plus, live after the President's Cup.
Back here at Mosaic, momentum clearly swinging the way of the home side. In the 3rd quarter, Riders were down. They picked up a couple of field goals. Winnipeg answered back with a field goal, but a Saskatchewan touchdown drive. The last time they had the ball here in the 4th quarter, and Trevor Harris and Keyshawn Johnson. Corey Mace, wonder how he feels about the atmosphere and the energy in his first Labor Day Classic here in Saskatchewan in his first year as head coach of the Riders. Trevor Harris from the Saskatchewan 24, out of shotgun, throwing. Oh, nearly caught. It was there for Bain, but he can't hang on. 2nd down coming up.
Brandon Alexander was coming off his high hash area. Maybe Sean Bain felt that or saw that. See Micah Johnson doing his job in the screen, but right there it's a little bit high and behind him. Difficult catch to make. We'll put them in that 2nd and long situation.
Under 5 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. And of all of these Labor Day Classics, 6 decades worth, more than half of them, 55%, have been within a score in the final 3 minutes. Will it be that story again? We're about 4.5 minutes to go. 32-27. It's caught. First down. Kean Schaefer-Baker up across the Saskatchewan 35.
A dig, which a 12-yard in route. They move Hallett out of the way. Schaefer-Bacon's a big target in the middle of the field. Great timing and throw by Trevor to convert that 2nd and long. And again, I keep watching Micah Johnson on 2nd and long. Well, they're rushing with only 3 people, so he doesn't really have to do any pass protection. really it's put on the tackles in these long yardage situations.
Logan Furlan, normally a guard, is the center, and they go left to Frankie Hickson, and Hickson gets it up around the 40, a gain of about 4 yards on the ground. But mentioning the center position, with Peter Godber getting hurt, his replacement, Zach Fry getting hurt as well, it is Furlan moving into center, as you talked about. Micah Johnson, defensive star, moving on to play offensive line. Zach Fry, his 3rd year at a Western, with his left arm in a sling.
Snaps have been really good. You know, you're on your 3rd center, but the snaps have been fine. So
that was Godber.
Really good execution by the younger guys up front.
Pressure coming, and it gets knocked at the line. We talked normally how the Bombers had been dropping back and not sending as much, and Adam Bighill is down. We were sending the heat that time, but that's another disturbing sight for the Bombers to see the great Adam Bighill injured again.
As you said, Bighill is coming into the front side A gap. Frankie Hickson trying to make the block. What you do when the ball's coming, when you pressure and you cannot get home, you just throw your hand up and knock the ball down. I think when Frankie Hickson went to go block Biggie, I think Biggie went up in the air and came down on his leg.
And the head coach Mike O'Shea coming out to check in on his star middle linebacker Adam Bighill. They already lost Zach Collaros to injury in the first half, and Bighill just back. It was
timeout.
With a hamstring injury before, and back from that, he's had calf injuries in the past, including one that really plagued him in the Grey Cup last year against Montreal. But
there was occasions for myself, Rod, as an offensive coordinator, you know, with the Bombers all those years, I used to actually sometimes, maybe a day 3 or so, or in training camp, I used to kind of sneak into the back of the defensive meeting room and listen to those defensive meetings, and I was so impressed that Adam Bighill spoke as much as Richie Hall in those meetings. Like, he's just so intelligent, total understanding what everybody should be doing.
Like having a coach on the field.
Yeah, having another coach on the field, like you're saying, but just an outstanding leader, and everybody responded by him.
And he was tied up with Micah Johnson, seeing him spin out to the right and grabbing the left leg area. I don't know.
Frankie Hickson went in and looked to try to cut him to slow him down, and looked like that's what originally hurt him, and then when he landed on it.
For the injury issues he's had, and applause here all around here at Mosaic for Adam Bighill, but it's been tough. Missed a couple of games this year with injuries and barely put weight on that, favoring the left leg, and Zach Collaros coming out to say a few words to him as well. But 2 of the biggest stars, not only this year for the Bombers, but the last few years in this generation of winning, Collaros and Bighill both out. They have forced the Riders to punt for Adam Korsak. Winnipeg still hanging on to a 5-point lead, and Lucky Whitehead is back inside the 30. Running off initially to the right, and then back to get this one at the 20. Whitehead breaks through. Good return. Still on his feet. Lucky Whitehead gets it up near midfield for Winnipeg for Strebler and company to come back out. A 32-yard return. Longest return of the season. Lucky Whitehead in Winnipeg.
Best thing Lucky Whitehead does is he catches it. After the catch, he just gets north-south, jumps right inside here, and there's a big wall created. Really good work. Just keeps pushing it north-south. Some of those returns to the wide side of the field, Rod, they look great, but there's just too much space and they get run down. You like to go straight north-south when you can, get the big return.
And let's face it, one of the big changes the Bombers this year compared to last is no Janarian Grant, and Whitehead is the 4th different returner. Winnipeg has tried to see if they can add some spice to that return game.
Play this year, you're right.
Yeah, missing that explosive play. Last play before the warning, and it is Nick Dembski breaking through, and good after the catch by Nick Dembski to get up close to another first down. He is in Saskatchewan territory.
Love it. Get it the ball to him on the perimeter. Let's go. Get around the defense.
CTV was a big part of CFL broadcasting, and CTV is back.
for the Banjo Bowl. These two teams to get it started on CTV's coverage for the balance of the season next Saturday in Winnipeg. What a way to start with these two rivals about to renew after this Labor Day clash. All those games on CTV, including East Final, East Semi before that in the Grey Cup.
Labor Day Classic, like, look at this stadium, sold out crowd.
It's great.
This is what is so great about the Canadian Football League.
And once again, within a possession, within a score, heading into the final three, 2:20 on the clock. Strebler handing off to Brady Oliveira, and charging in. And that's DeMarcus Fields, defensive back, he was slow to get up. He's down again after a big hit to stop Brady Oliveira. He got the worst of that, although he limits Oliveira to just a 1-yard gain.
Brady's going to wind back all the way across the formation. As he starts to wind this back, there's a free defensive back. Fields is there to make the tackle. Right, squared shoulders. It's hard to. Brady's going to have a low center of gravity, so when Brady's going to hit you, he's going to have his shoulder down, and really going to deliver a blow. He's going to be the hammer, not the nail, Rod.
And yet, a good stop by Fields. He did pay the price. The sacrifice there for the Rider defense as he is still down and getting some attention from the medical staff.
Yeah, that's the hard part, trying to figure out, okay, the previous 1st and 10, what they do, they threw it out to Dembski when everyone expected the ball to go to Brady. Dembski makes somebody miss, first down. Now you're still trying to establish a run, but this is what creates problems when you can't get any yardage. Now Strebler's sitting at a 2nd and 9. Whether they pressure him or not, we will see. That's what they did last 2nd and long. There was a pressure to Strebler. What are they going to do this time?
At stake this Labor Day weekend, first place in the West. The winner tonight takes over the top spot. Strebler stringing him out, taking him down. Malik Carney to force a 3rd down now in what would appear to be a field goal situation coming up for Winnipeg.
So there is another blitz. That's Saskatchewan's plan. They were going to blitz the quarterback, but as they blitz the quarterback, you're going to get 3 people coming besides the down guys. Well, Winnipeg's running a quarterback draw, so they're going to have everybody blocked. They just missed the block on the perimeter, and then Carney gets off. So you say, well, why is that? You know, it's 2nd and 9. Why aren't you throwing the ball? Why? Because they want to help the field goal range. They didn't want to lose any yardage getting a sack. They wanted to be in a better position to get as much yardage to help Calvillo.
This will be a 56-yard try by Sergio Castillo. He's 8 for 10 this season from 50 plus, right down the middle and good again. Remarkable distance kicker in the Canadian Football League is Sergio Castillo, who pads his resume earlier this season at 2 of 60 yards. Barely missed earlier this season from 61. And he has 2 over 50 yards. He's 2 for 2 tonight, and a big 3 to make it an 8-point Winnipeg lead.
And Rod, what I can say about Castillo and some of the great kickers obviously we have in this league now, with the rule changes that the league has put in place the last couple of years, and I know there's kickoffs now in the last 3 minutes, but through the course of a football game, when you can take the ball now at the 40-yard line for a majority of the game, you only need 2 first downs for some of these 50-plus field goal kickers. So that's one of the reasons I think there's more kicks. And, you know, the league has said, hey, we want to make sure there's more scoring. Well, hey, putting the ball at the 40-yard line a majority of the game, except for the last 3 minutes, has really been something to be able to take the ball at that point. 2 first downs, all of a sudden you got these great kickers, put you in position to get a field goal.
Well, he is a 56. Remember, Brent Lothar had one from midfield, 55 yards earlier for the Riders.
I had it with Justin Medlock for 4 years. Like, we just get a couple first downs and we're going to kick a 50-yard field goal.
Got a leg like that. So Saskatchewan ball, and taking it, Thomas Bertrand-Houdon right at the goal line. And Bertrand-Houdon, that return gets it up to the 20. It's still a 1-score game. The Riders trailing within 8 points, though, and Trevor Harris coming on. And it's getting critical now for Saskatchewan.
You don't see many kickoff returners catch it over the top. Don doesn't get a lot of those reps, caught it over the top of his head. But this is a huge drive right now. right? How do they get in rhythm? What are they going to do? I assume the Bombers are going to play how they've played it all game, playing coverage. There has been a pressure the last 2 series. That's going to be the chess match right now, figuring out and getting productivity on 1st and 10.
They have 1.5 minutes to drive down for a touchdown. 8 points behind. Trevor Harris going to work. And over the middle and down low for Emelis. That is complete, and a 1st down for Saskatchewan. Trying to work quickly. Tempo offense, 1:27 to go in the 4th.
Hitting these little posts behind the Will linebacker, just kind of wrapping behind the linebacker, throwing it before the safety can get down to make the play. Trevor's done that throw 1,000 times.
Harris to the left, caught wide open is Keyshawn Johnson, and finds some room to get it down, get it up to the 45 Riders. Another 1st down, so working quickly here.
They're going to be using coded words right now, telling everybody what to do. The hardest part for this right now is Micah Johnson. They're going to have to tell Micah what to do every play because he won't know any coded words if they're trying to go tempo, so they're going to have to communicate to him what play is being run.
Harris bobbled it for a moment, and he throws it off and out of bounds at the Bomber bench. This Rider team defeated Winnipeg the last time they met, 19-9, right here at Mosaic, July the 19th. Saskatchewan improved to 5-1. The Riders have not won since. 4 losses and a tie. For that man, Corey Mason saw the great start in his 1st season, settling back to 500.
Yeah, I think what's great too is he's lost his quarterback for a number of those wins they had, and they found other ways to win defensively.
And 2nd and 10. Caught again. Cross midfield, Schaefer Baker. Another Saskatchewan 1st down.
Attacking the outside, getting that throws where he knows he can take that kind of one-on-one throw on the perimeter. Makes the throw just in front of Terrell Bonds. And again, they're going fast, trying to call it. Willie Jefferson's now aligned over the center, so they're trying to get a mismatch on a young center with Willie Jefferson.
And that one is caught by Johnson. Once again, Harris working quickly and getting just enough yardage again. An impressive drive here. Ho-hum, just another dramatic finish for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who have had a slew of them so far in 24.
A little bit too much rhythm right now for Trevor Harris. This is too easy for him. Will you see some pressure from the Bombers?
Harris has thrown for 326 so far. And he completes that one again. Coverage was there. It was tight. Nichols was there, but that's Schaefer Baker, that rangy body, coming down with another catch.
Yes, throwing the same skinny post in the middle of the field. You're right, Rod. A really big body player. I can go, okay, as everybody has expanded out, I'm going to throw it on the inside.
1st and 10, Winnipeg 31. Riders need a touchdown, nearly picked off. That was Tony Jones, the first one who had a shot at it, aiming for Emelis, but just off the fingertips of Jones.
Tony Jones is going to be working out into this flat. Trevor sees this space right here. He's trying to throw it. Just gets his hand on, just about to make the play, but forces a 2nd and long anyways.
That would have ended it. He could have got a little bit closer to that ball and picked it off. 34 seconds. 8-point difference. Riders need the end zone. It's a 2nd and 10 at the Winnipeg 31. It's caught. It's a Joe with his first catch in this game. Joe gets it inside the 30.
This is a good throw because you know you're in 3-down territory, so you get half the distance here. So you put yourself in a very manageable 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6 here. So you didn't have to get it all on that one because you know you're in what you call 3-down territory. We're going to take both shots, but now they got to get 6 yards here.
And a timeout is called by the Riders just to make sure in a critical 3rd down. This would be ball game here. If they can't convert, get the 1st down. 29 seconds on the clock. A field goal's no good. They need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion.
Trevor's scrambled a couple of times this game. Does Trevor use his legs, or do the Bombers try to pressure?
A year ago, Lothar hit a field goal to tie the game with 31 seconds left, and Saskatchewan ended up winning it in overtime with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion where the 2-point try failed for Winnipeg. That was then.
3-by-2 set here. Pressure look by the Bombers.
Here we go.
And they come.
This is it. Blitz coming. And he got hit, and it's caught. It's caught right down at the 1 for Samuel Emelis. With Evan Holm there. Harris hit it. He threw the ball. And Emelis with a big catch here for the Riders.
Unbelievable. At the 1-yard line making that play. The Riders added into their protection to give them that opportunity to get that spot. Spectacular throw and catch. That's what you do when it's cover 0, Rod. When there's, what is 0? No deep safety. You put the ball in the middle of the field.
And it looked like they're checking the replay to see if he landed breaking the plane. But no, it was down at the 1, and so they'll run this play in short yardage here. Touchdown, flags out. Trevor Harris kept it. Broke the play to the goal line, but flags did come out.
This probably will be offsides, Winnipeg, especially because they went tempo. They kind of ran right up to the line of scrimmage. They ran up at the line of scrimmage, so the Bombers had to adjust quickly too. You got to make sure you're onside, and I think you're going to see one of the Bombers offside, so that's going to give them a fresh set of downs. The ball can't go any farther than the 1, but they will get their opportunity.
Lapo, this is the 59th Labor Day Classic between these two teams in Regina. There was one in Winnipeg, so technically the 60th Labor Day Classic game. Only one in history has gone to overtime. That was last year. If the Riders, assuming this penalty is against Winnipeg.
The previous play is under review by the command center.
Well, let's have another look here.
There it is, right in the neutral zone. Okay. Now they're checking to see whether it was a touchdown. And I believe that'll be clearly a touchdown.
He just needs to get the front plane of that thick goal line, and easily does that.
Command center will be able to see some of these angles, tell us whether it's a touchdown or not.
So as mentioned, only one of these Labor Day Classics between these two has gone to overtime. That was a year ago. They're a 2-point conversion away, by the looks of things, to tying this one. 14 seconds on the clock.
After review, we have a touchdown. Offside, Winnipeg will be declined.
Yeah. Well, as loud as that was, imagine the uproar if they can get it into the end zone again. Trevor Harris needs the quiet, though, now. Needs them to calm down, and a critical 2-point conversion try with 14 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Trying to get it to overtime for the 2nd straight year between Saskatchewan and Winnipeg. Here we go. Either they get the 2-point conversion, or the Bombers would win, Winnipeg. And the Bombers do take a timeout here.
They get a chance to see the formation. They see the 3 receivers to the field, 2 to the boundary on that play. Get more conversation. Just get sorted out on what call they make. You can see Jordan Younger is now pulling, looks like BA over. Is that, yeah, Brandon Alexander, to have one final conversation on what they want to do. Teams on 2-point conversions, Rod, in the CFL usually play some 4-man, or they press you with what's called cover 0, where they blitz everybody like Winnipeg just did and try to overload the quarterback and make the ball out of his hand quickly.
Here we go. They got the touchdown, but it's all for naught if they don't get this. They need the 2-point conversion to tie this game. Final seconds. Harris, end zone, knocked away. It hit Tony Jones. And the Bomber defense denies Saskatchewan in another Labor Day Classic finish. It looks like Winnipeg is going to hang on and get this victory with 14 seconds to go in the clock.
They've hit this read post, this post in the middle of the field several times tonight, but watch, I think he predetermined, Trevor predetermined, can I get that word out? And then watch Jones right here, right underneath it to get the stop. Huge stop, huge opportunity. You know, Hats off to the Riders getting the touchdown versus the cover 0, but then they just don't make the play versus coverage. They made the play versus the blitz. They didn't make the play versus the coverage on the 2-point from the 3.
That close for Trevor Harris after a 10-play touchdown drive got them to within 2 of forcing another overtime and a Labor Day Classic between these two. But what they have left with 14 seconds is the onside kick, and then they still need a miracle to get it down to try a field goal in such a short period of time.
So the onside kick crew is ready, and look who's the deep back to catch the football. Big Willie Jefferson, one of the tallest, biggest guys they have.
Hands team out.
The lineman will block in front. And obviously we know the ball is for 10 yards.
So Lother, the onside kick, up high. Willie Jefferson was the one going for it, and it bounced around, and the Riders had a chance to recover this.
It appeared to go 10 yards. It appeared to be a great kick.
It is Saskatchewan football.
If it was a little, right, if it was a little bit deeper, it goes right to Willie. If it's a little bit shorter, it doesn't go to 10 yards. Really good penetration. And what I mean by penetration, you got guys running through, going to make a play. There's Milligan right there, the player of the year so far in the CFL, right? You got to block him so Willie can go get the play.
Another brilliant special teams play by Roland Milligan, arguably the defensive player in the year so far. One of them anyway. And so Saskatchewan, well, I say wait a second. Let's wait 12 seconds. There's still a little bit of time, and they got to get in field goal range. 3-man rush. Intercepted, and that'll do it. Evan Holm, but a flag is out. A flag is out after the pick by Evan Holm, and Trevor Harris is pointing that it's against Winnipeg. How big a flag would this be?
Pass interference. Winnipeg. Spot of the foul.
Oh my goodness. This changes everything. Brett Lawther's going to have a chance to win this game. 3 seconds on the clock.
This, I believe, is what the collision is. Downfield, saying that's who they were throwing to. Bang, there's the collision. Didn't get an opportunity to make a play for the football.
2 weeks ago, Brett Lawther had his worst game in his CFL career. He was 4 for 4 last week, 5 for 5 in the Labor Day Classic last year. But what a spot for redemption. And he's already had a 55-yarder. So this, I mean, is certainly no gimme. This is a long kick. This is a 60-yard try. So I say redemption, but you can't fault somebody for not making a 60-yarder. What a moment it could be, though, if he makes it. For Lawther, who, as said, had a 55.
With the contact at the 52, that's where they're placing it.
So they put it down at the 52-yard line. Looked for a moment like it was going to be a little bit further down the field. Adam Korsak will put it down at the Rider 50. Still a long shot, but the Riders have a chance on the final play. Out and down and kicked. Has the accuracy, but it's short. Not quite enough for Lawther. But as said, can't fault him on that one. That is a long, long ways away. And Trevor Harris and the Riders in another Labor Day Classic come oh so close. But it's Winnipeg and Mike O'Shea with his 102nd career win to tie Bud Grant for first all-time among Bomber head coaches, as Winnipeg is now a 500 team after an 0-4 start. They lose Zach Collaros before halftime, but they're now technically, although tied with BC in the West standings, they have first place in the West by virtue of winning the season series against the Lions.
An amazing win on the road, and what did it take? It played good, really good play by Zach Collaros in the first half. Took a score on special teams by for the second week in a row for this Winnipeg Blue Bombers football team, and a really good response, you know, with a couple of drives to get some field goals when Streveler had to go into the football game. And again, you got to make your stops. When you make your stops, the two-point conversion was huge, obviously.
Well, it was an admirable comeback by Saskatchewan with the injuries they dealt with, and certainly Winnipeg dealing with theirs as well. The Riders started the season at 5-1, but they are now below 500 at 5-6-1. And you talk about important games, they have another one next week, the rematch, the Banjo Bowl, to decide the season series between Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. OK Tire Labor Day weekend. A doubleheader coming up tomorrow. Thank you for watching this Labor Day Classic from Regina. SportsCenter is next on TSN.